Chapter 2771. The prison zone, which had existed for countless years, finally cracked open. Prison after prison exploded. Skeletons and undying corpses fell out of the destroyed prison. However, there were great ferocious beasts that rushed out. Some of the ancient ferocious beasts did not die. They took advantage of the collapse of the prison zone and the explosion of the prison to escape. Roar. With an earth-shattering roar, a black flood dragon broke through the layers of ferocious aura and rushed out of the prison zone. However, just as the flood dragon thought that it had escaped, a huge golden hand descended from the sky. It displayed an extremely powerful force and slapped the flood dragon from the sky to the ground. Evil beast, don't even think of escaping. A loud roar rang out. Far in the sky, a figure radiating with golden light appeared. The figure walked through the air and arrived high up in the sky in the blink of an eye. Roar. On the ground, the flood dragon roared. Terrifying sound waves spread out, directly shattering a nearby snow mountain. Dust mixed with ice and snow rushed high up into the sky. I happen to lack a divine guardian beast under me. I can subdue this flood dragon for my use. The middle-aged daoist who stood high up in the sky looked down at the flood dragon and said calmly, "Human, why are you blocking my way?" A spiritual wave spread out from the black flood dragon that was coiled on the ground. "You are great ferocious beasts. If you escape, who knows how many living beings will suffer. I can't let you go," the middle-aged daoist said coldly. His entire body was surrounded by the aura of the immortal Tao. He was a saint of the immortal Tao, and he cultivated the power of the golden sun. "You sanctimonious fellas, I feel nauseous just looking at you. I'll eat you first." The flood dragon was incomparably ferocious. It turned into a black shadow and scuttled up from the ground, biting towards the golden sun saint in the sky. Boom! The sky and earth shook. A pitch-black vortex appeared in the mouth of the flood dragon. A heaven-devouring power surged out from the vortex. Even someone as strong as the golden sun saint was shaken by the heaven-devouring power. He flew towards the mouth of the flood dragon uncontrollably. "Chimpy, you want to eat me? I'll roast you first." Saint Golden Sun sneered. At the same time, an immortal power of extreme yang erupted from his body. It was as if a golden sun had appeared in the sky, emitting millions of rays of golden light that dyed the world golden. The scorching heat waves spread for 100,000 miles, evaporating all the ice and snow within 100,000 miles. It was as if a real sun had appeared in the sky. Boundless golden divine fire poured down from Saint Venerate Golden Sun's body and instantly engulfed the flood dragon. Roar! The flood dragon roared. It wanted to swallow Saint Venerable Golden Sun in one gulp, but it realized that it wanted to swallow a divine Sunday. How could it swallow it? If he were to swallow a divine sun, he would probably roast himself. At this time, the boundless golden divine fire had already engulfed the flood dragon in a sea of fire. Within the golden divine fire, golden runes were faintly discernible. This was no ordinary divine fire, it was the golden sun Tao fire. This type of Tao fire was much stronger than the real divine sun fire. A single flame could burn a saint to ashes. It had the power to burn the sky and boil the sea. Surrender, or you'll really be roasted. Saint Venerable Golden Sun was like a god of fire that came from the primordial era. Ridiculous. If I was at my peak, I'd eat you even if there were 10 of me. The flood dragon had been sealed for countless years, but he still managed to survive. One could only imagine how strong his life force was. Moreover, the flood dragon was an ancient great beast that had once dominated the desolate land. There were few who could be his match. Even though the ancient hero managed to capture the flood dragon, he wasn't able to kill it. Therefore, he sealed the flood dragon in the prison domain. Although the WM wasn't suppressed to death in the prison, most of its cultivation was obliterated. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been so aggrieved. Haha, things are different now. You'd better surrender and be my guardian spirit beast. Saint Venerable Golden Sun said. A flood dragon in shallow water will be toyed with by a shrimp. I admit defeat. As the flood dragon spoke, its mountain-like body rapidly shrank. Then, it turned into a black-robed youth who knelt in the sea of fire. Although the golden sundial fire was powerful, it couldn't really hurt the flood dragon. Very good. A wise man submits to circumstances. Old flood dragon, you are indeed an ancient hero. Saint Venerable Golden Sun was really happy. Being able to subdue this old flood dragon was also a good deed. He put away the golden sundial fire and used a forbidden technique to place a seal on the flood dragon's primordial spirit. Congratulations, brother. At this time, an old daoist came from the distance. This old daoist rode a black bull. He seemed to be moving slowly, but in the blink of an eye, he had already arrived in front of Saint Venerable Golden Sunday. Fellow daoist, you too. Saint Venerable Golden Sun looked at the black bull the old daoist was riding and said. The black bull's head was originally lowered. Now, it raised its head and looked at Saint Venerable Golden Sun with a ferocious glint in its eyes. Rumble, a shocking sound came from the depths of the prison zone. Endless spiritual chi gathered and an extreme aura emanated from within. Saint Venerable Golden Sun and the others felt their hearts palpitate. Brother Golden Sun, who is it that is touching that thing? The old daoist riding the black bull looked into the depths of the prison zone and asked with a serious expression. That thing was the supreme holy item that guarded the prison zone formation eye. Ever since the prison zone was abandoned, it had been the supreme holy item that had maintained the operation of the prison zone formation for countless years. Otherwise, the prison zone formation would have collapsed long ago. I don't know either, Saint Venerable Golden Sun said helplessly. Saint Venerable Golden Sun said helplessly. He had also sensed something strange in the prison zone, so he had rushed over. However, he did not see who had broken into the prison zone. What? Even you don't know? The old daoist said in shock. Maybe that person knows. He came earlier than me. Saint Venerable Golden Sun looked in the direction where Ji Yufei was. At this moment, Ji Yufei still hadn't made a move. This was because the big beasts that had escaped from the prison zone hadn't attacked him either. However, the Supremes guarding outside the prison zone wouldn't let these big beasts go. Saint Venerable Golden Sun had subdued a fierce dragon and the old daoist had subdued a black bull. The other holy venerables all had their own gains. Only Ji Yufei wasn't interested in these so-called big beasts from the ancient age. These great ancient beasts had been sealed for countless years, and they were no longer at their peak state of the past. So, it was extremely easy to subdue these living beings. To Ji Yufei, subduing these big beasts didn't give him much of a sense of accomplishment. This was because not every big beast that had escaped was as strong and heaven-defying as Ming Qiong. At this moment, Ming Qiong was fighting in the depths of the prison zone. He was constantly devouring the unlucky big beasts. His cultivation was constantly rising and there were signs of him breaking through to the holy venerable realm. Haha, this is too good. Ming Qiong was extremely ferocious. He directly smashed the huge head of a dracophant beast and swallowed it into his stomach. After devouring the dracophant beast, Ming Qiong's aura became even stronger. For an outsider expert like him, the way to increase his cultivation was to devour the essence, qi, and spirit of other living beings. Although this method was cruel, it was very effective. Even Ming Qiong's Black Chilean Tiger Emperor had benefited greatly. Kill. At this moment, an angry roar rang out from the depths of the prison zone. Then, a scarlet light shot out from the depths of the prison zone and directly pierced through a big beast that was trying to escape. Then, the big beast's flesh and blood rapidly dried up. The big beast's essence, qi, spirit, and even his flesh and blood were sucked out of his body. This, Ji Yufei was incomparably shocked when he saw this scene. The scarlet light actually possessed such power, and it was truly heart-palpitating. Obviously, when the scarlet light pierced through the body of the great ominous being, it extracted and devoured all of the great ominous being's essence. At this moment, a figure holding a weapon walked out of the prison zone formation's eye. Seeing this, Ji Yufei couldn't help but use his martial path heavenly eye to see who this person was. He wanted to see if it was his little junior sister, Zhao Ziru. However, Ji Yufei was shocked to find that the person was enveloped by the divine light of the Great Path. He couldn't see the person's appearance at all. That person held a weapon and went on a killing spree. One after another, big beasts died at her hands. All the living beings in the prison zone were extremely shocked. Although Jiu Fei couldn't see the person's appearance, he could clearly see the item in the person's hand. It was a large red halberd, a halberd that was covered in ancient runes. A divine weapon of the Great Path. Seeing the halberd, Jiu Fei couldn't help but narrow his eyes. Without a doubt, the halberd was a divine weapon of the Great Path. The Saint Venerables guarding outside the prison zone also paled. No one had thought that there would be such a powerful divine weapon guarding the prison zone. With that divine weapon in hand, that person was basically undefeatable. Even someone as strong as Ming Qiong retreated, not daring to fight her head-on. At this time, in a mysterious valley in the snowy region, the void in the valley trembled. A figure directly passed through the rippling void and appeared in the valley. It was a masked woman in white. She disappeared into the void, and when she next appeared, she was already outside the prison zone. What the palace lord worried about has finally happened, the masked woman muttered to herself. The palace lord she spoke of was probably the true overlord of the northern snowy region, the palace lord of the heavenly palace of the snowy region. Even the Chilean halberd has been pulled out, the masked woman muttered to herself. The scarlet blood halberd in the hands of the mysterious person in the prison zone was the Chilean halberd that had shocked the world. Someone had used the Chilean halberd to guard the prison zone formation's eye. Chapter 2772. The holy item that guarded the eye of the prison zone spell was a halberd. It was a famous holy item in the ancient times, the Chilean halberd. This holy item had been created by a supreme being who had killed an extreme King Chilean and used its body to forge a halberd. This holy item was incredibly powerful. After the mysterious person pulled it out, it began to vibrate and emit a powerful aura. The spirit within it was showing signs of awakening. This was not a good thing for anyone. Once the spirit within the Chilean halberd was awakened, it would become a weapon with its own consciousness. There were no supreme beings in the world. Once the spirit within the Chilean halberd was awakened, it would be invincible. No one in the world could suppress this weapon. But the mysterious person seemed to know how to suppress this halberd. He kept sending out runes to summon the power of the Great Path to suppress the halberd. At this time, there was still the roar of the beasts. These ancient beasts had been imprisoned in the prison zone for countless years. Their vitality was greatly damaged, and they needed an endless supply of energy to recover. If these vicious ancient beasts were to escape, it would be a disaster. Who knew how many living beings would die? Rumble, the prison zone was collapsing. Countless runes rushed out of the ground and then disappeared into the air. Ming Qiong and the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor were moving quickly. They were fighting an unbelievably strong creature, and the shockwaves of their battle were everywhere. This is ridiculous. This guy has been imprisoned for so long. How can he still be so strong? Ming Qiong could not believe it. Even someone as strong as he was would be greatly damaged after being imprisoned for so long. Could this guy be stronger than him? My lord, what should we do? The Black Chilean Tiger Emperor was fighting the creature. It had wanted to slip away, but its master, Ming Qiong, did not retreat. How could it dare to? Whoosh! That powerful creature grabbed the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor's butt. The Black Chilean Tiger Emperor let out a blood-curdling scream as his butt was drenched in blood. It was said that a tiger's butt should not be touched, but this Black Chilean Tiger Emperor was so unlucky that its butt had been scratched by this creature. Bam! The creature immediately sent the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor flying with a kick. The unlucky Black Chilean Tiger Emperor let out a blood-curdling screech as it was kicked to God knows where. After kicking the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor away, the creature exchanged a dozen punches with Ming Qiong, forcing him back. How is this possible? You're actually unscathed. Ming Qiong was extremely shocked. This creature did not look like it had suffered any serious injuries. This was too unbelievable. After all, how could a creature that had been sealed in the prison domain be completely fine? This creature was extremely powerful. It was actually at its peak state. Even in the great desolate ancient world, such an existence would definitely be an overlord-level existence. Ming Qiong, on the other hand, was no longer the Ming Qiong of the past. In the face of the primordial great beast at its peak, even he could barely protect himself. Nothing is impossible in this world. A wave of divine sense rippled from the creature's body. Then, an endless amount of baleful energy surged out from the creature's body. The creature took the form of a young man in white. This is, Ming Qiong's pupils shrank when he saw this. I am Qiong Qi. It is your misfortune to have met me, but it is my great fortune. Ha ha, the young man in white robes laughed as he spoke. The primordial great beast, Qiong Qi? Ming Qiong was shocked when he heard this. This primordial great beast was incredible. Even in the great desolate ancient era, this great beast was famous throughout the great desolate ancient era. Countless people wanted to kill it. Who would have thought that such a great beast, who had dominated the great desolate ancient world, would also be sealed in the prison domain? What shocked Ming Qiong the most was that the great ancient beast was still at its peak cultivation and battle prowess. This was simply unbelievable. It was a miracle. Someone from the outer domain? The young man in white robes had Dao markings in his eyes. He seemed to have seen through Ming Qiong's origins at a glance. An extremely violent aura emanated from his body. You know us? Ming Qiong was truly moved. This great beast had actually seen through his origins. Could it be that this fellow had interacted with creatures from the outer domain? The creatures from the outer domain taste pretty good. Come over here and let me eat you. The great beast, Qiong Qi, who had transformed into the young man in white robes, said mockingly. You want to eat me? Ha ha. Ming Qiong laughed. He had once devoured countless creatures just to increase his cultivation and combat power. Now, a creature was saying that he wanted to eat him. How ironic. Mph, which creature from the great desolate ancient world doesn't know that I am delicious? The young man in white robes said. Then let's see who eats who. Ming Qiong said through gritted teeth. He was no pushover, someone who could be easily bullied. When he was in the outer realm, he was a mighty lord. Very well. Let's fight first. The young man in white robes leaped at Ming Qiong with a sinister smile. Swoosh. Two wings spread out from his back, emitting a blade of light that looked like a heavenly blade. He slashed at Ming Qiong. Die. Ming Qiong roared angrily and swung his fists forward. The blade of light that came slashing at him all shattered under his fists. He was incomparably powerful as he charged straight at Qiong Qi. Boom. The two fists collided violently with a loud explosion. Both Ming Qiong and Qiong Qi were forced back by the ferocious power from the other's fists. The space between the two powerhouses was collapsing. Then, like porcelain, it shattered. Primal chaos energy was shaken out by the explosive power. Ming Qiong was determined to fight to the death with this great beast. Although his vitality had been greatly injured, he still possessed an extremely powerful physical body. The power that erupted from his physical body was equally great. Even if Qiong Qi was in peak condition, it would not be easy for him to defeat Ming Qiong in a short period of time. At this time, the black-scaled tiger emperor that had its buttocks scratched and kicked away by Qiong Qi had snuck back. This cunning tiger hid in the distance and peeked its head out. The black-scaled tiger emperor did not go forward to help Ming Qiong. If it were to participate in a battle of this level, it could be swallowed by Qiong Qi at any time. Just as Ming Qiong was fighting Qiong Qi, the mysterious person who had pulled out the Qilin halberd walked out of the prison zone after killing a ferocious beast. Leave the Qilin halberd and scram. A figure suddenly appeared and blocked the mysterious person. It was a middle-aged man with a black beard. He looked rough and gave off a wild aura. You're the one who should scram, the mysterious person said coldly. From her voice, one could tell that she was a woman and a very powerful woman at that. The mysterious woman gripped the Qilin halberd and glared at the middle-aged man. Her entire body was filled with killing intent. Since you won't scram, then you don't have to. The black-bearded middle-aged man directly extended his hand and grabbed towards the mysterious woman. A huge black hand rushed out from his hand and instantly enveloped the entire sky. You're courting death. The mysterious woman laughed coldly and waved the Qilin halberd in her hand. A cold light streaked across the sky and the huge black hand disappeared in the sky. Swoosh. The Chilean halberd in the mysterious woman's hand turned into a cold light and slashed at the black-bearded middle-aged man. The black-bearded middle-aged man did not dare to meet the Chilean halberd head-on. He took a step to the side and dodged the attack. He then spat out a bronze bell. Dang! The black-bearded middle-aged man shook the bronze bell and a melodious sound rang out. Although the sound was not loud, it caused the mysterious woman's soul to tremble. This was the black-bearded middle-aged man's killing weapon. It was called the soul-shaking bell. The power of this bronze bell was not to be underestimated. It had the power to destroy one's soul. However, the mysterious woman was holding the Chilean halberd in her hand. She stabbed the Chilean halberd forward and pierced the bronze bell. The black-bearded middle-aged man was shocked and hurriedly retreated. At the same time, the mysterious woman shook the Chilean halberd in her hand. Bam! With a muffled sound, the soul-shaking bell that was pierced by the Chilean halberd exploded. Its fragments shot out in all directions and the runes were destroyed. When the soul-shaking bell was destroyed, the black-bearded middle-aged man's expression changed. He was shocked and a trace of blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. With the Chilean halberd in hand, the mysterious woman was simply invincible. After forcing the black-bearded middle-aged man to retreat, the mysterious woman soared into the sky and was about to leave. However, at that moment, another figure appeared high up in the sky and stopped the mysterious woman. "Leave the Chilean halberd behind." It was a masked woman. She was also coming for the Chilean halberd. "Leave your head behind." The mysterious woman waved the Chilean halberd in her hand and slashed at the masked woman. The masked woman hurriedly dodged. The two experts began to fight. While the two women were fighting, Jiu Fei was still watching coldly from the sidelines. He was very surprised. Why did another woman suddenly jump out? Which one of these two women is junior sister Zhao? Jiu Fei tried to use his martial path Heavenly Eye, but he soon discovered that the two women were enveloped by the power of the Grand Tao. Even with the martial path Heavenly Eye, Jiu Fei could only see a blurry image. It was difficult to see clearly. Soon, the mysterious woman with the Chilean halberd won the battle. She defeated the masked woman and rushed out. At this time, more and more powerful existences appeared in the vicinity of the prison zone. Chapter 2773. The prison zone was collapsing. The great formation that covered the entire zone had already lost the power to maintain its existence. The mysterious woman had taken away the Chilean halberd that guarded the eye of the formation. The runes of the formation continued to explode and dissipate into the void. The area was being destroyed. The commotion was so great that even the creatures outside the no-man's zone could sense it. Rumble, the heavens and earth shook. Even the void was collapsing. This great formation had existed for countless years. Once it collapsed, the damage caused could not be underestimated. Fortunately, all of this was happening in the no-man's zone. If it had happened outside, many people would have died. At this time, the mysterious woman who had taken away the Chilean halberd waved it and rushed out. The power that emanated from the Chilean halberd broke through the layers of chaotic air. The other woman was attacking the mysterious woman, trying to take away the Chilean halberd in her hand. The two women continued to fight, but at the same time, they continued to rush out. At this time, a black hole appeared in the center of the prison zone, devouring everything around it. All the ancient beasts that had escaped were rushing out. Even Ming Qiong and Qiong Qi were no exception. As powerful as Qiong Qi was, even he felt the threat of the black hole. Jiu Fei had been watching from the side, as if everything that happened in the prison zone had nothing to do with him. The two women successfully broke out of the prison zone. They continued to fight. Although the masked woman did not have a holy weapon in her hand, she was able to fight against the mysterious woman with the Chilean halberd and was not at a disadvantage. The masked woman waved her hands. The power of the Great Path was vast and mighty, and she was able to continuously clash with the Chilean halberd. This woman is not simple. Seeing this, Jiu Fei could not help but be moved. Runes constantly appeared on the woman's arms. Her arms were like two holy weapons, displaying great power. Of course, even a true holy weapon could not compete with a true holy weapon of the Great Path. However, The power of the Chilean halberd had been sealed. "Who are you? How can you take away the Chilean halberd?" the masked woman asked as she attacked. The mysterious woman didn't say anything. She waved her Chilean halberd, forcing the masked woman to retreat. After that, she turned around and left. She didn't want to be entangled with the masked woman. At this time, the other experts also stared at the Chilean halberd in the mysterious woman's hand. That was a peerless saint artifact, and even an extreme supremacy would be envious of it, let alone others. That is, when the strong cultivators of Xueyu saw the veiled woman, they were astonished. She was the holy maiden of the heavenly palace of Xueyu. Unexpectedly, the holy maiden of the heavenly palace of Xueyu was here. After so many years of silence, is the heavenly palace of Snow Domain finally going to come out? Someone said in a low voice, as if afraid that the veiled woman would hear them. The saintess of the heavenly palace of Snow Domain? Ji Yufei's ears were very sharp. He heard the conversation between the experts in the distance. He was also very surprised. That masked woman was actually the holy maiden of Xueyu Heavenly Palace. Previously, there had been descendants of the heavenly palace of Xueyu walking in the snowy region. Now that the saintess of the heavenly palace of Xueyu had appeared here, it was shocking. Is the woman who took away the Chilean halberd really Junior Sister Zhao? Ji Yufei couldn't tell. After all, he had been separated from Junior Sister Zhao for so long. Moreover, Junior Sister Zhao's temperament had changed a long time ago. Boom. While Ji Yufei was in a daze, a muffled sound was heard. An expert finally couldn't help but attack. He saw a middle-aged man in cyan jump out and block the mysterious woman. "Get out of my way!" The mysterious woman roared and swept the Chilean halberd in her hand towards the man's waist. That person naturally didn't dare to take the attack head-on. He hurriedly soared into the sky and dodged. At the same time, he raised his right hand, and a golden net immediately enveloped the mysterious woman's head. "Me." The mysterious woman sneered and waved the Chilean halberd, directly cutting a 1-meter-wide hole in the golden magical net. Bang! Just as the mysterious woman rushed out of the golden magical net, a crystal-clear hand that seemed to be carved out of divine jade slapped the mysterious woman's back. The violent force sent the mysterious woman flying thousands of meters away. She fell into a pile of ice and snow, but she still held onto the Chilean halberd tightly, unwilling to let go. The mysterious woman stood up. "Ooh!" She immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. The veil covering her face was shaken off, revealing a deathly pale and beautiful face. Her clothes were stained with blood. What? When Ji Yufei saw the mysterious woman's face, he was shocked. This woman was indeed not his junior sister Zhao, but a woman he had never seen before. Whoosh! At that moment, a ball of divine light rushed out of the mysterious woman's hand and instantly enveloped her. In the next moment, the void rippled like transparent water. In the next moment, the ball of divine light wrapped around the mysterious woman holding the Chilean halberd and directly escaped into the void, disappearing in an instant. Preposterous! The heavenly palace saintess couldn't stop it in time. She couldn't help but hate. The thing that the heavenly palace of snow had guarded for countless years had been taken away. This almost drove her crazy. The existence of the heavenly palace of snow was not a coincidence. The people of the heavenly palace of snow were low-key and mysterious. They did not interact with the outside world for no reason. If that woman is not junior sister Zhao, then where is she now? Ji Yufei felt that the situation was a bit complicated. He had come to find junior sister Zhao. He was also jealous of the Chilean halberd, but he did not fight for it. Although an extreme saint weapon was good, it was not a good thing to have too many of them. At least, for Ji Yufei, it was not a good thing. He would always be remembered by others, and there would be endless trouble. Most importantly, the extreme saint weapon had Yuan Zheng's weapon spirit. Once the weapon spirit awakened and discovered that the owner was not the original owner, the current owner would be in danger. One had to know that an extreme saint weapon with a weapon spirit was, in a sense, a kind of life, a different kind of life form. This kind of extreme saint weapon had its own consciousness and thoughts. Besides the extreme experts who had refined it, only those who were recognized by it could use it. The power of an extreme saint weapon was too great. It could destroy the heavens and the earth, and it could destroy everything. Those who were not recognized by the extreme saint weapon could not even get close to it, let alone use it. At this time, more and more ancient beasts rushed out of the collapsing prison zone. These beasts clashed with the holy venerate experts guarding outside. A great battle inevitably broke out. Ming Qiong and Qiongqi rushed out of the prison zone and began to fight again. The Black Chilean Tiger Emperor also attacked, attacking Qiongqi together with Ming Qiong. "Do you need help?" Ji Yufei transmitted to Ming Qiong. "No need." Ming Qiong's words were simple and direct. He directly rejected Ji Yufei. Bam! At that moment, the wings on Qiongqi's back swept across Ming Qiong, sending him flying. However, his physical body was extremely tough and he was not injured by the attack. "You've cultivated the indestructible body?" Qiongqi was shocked. This foreign expert was like a human holy weapon. His body was so strong that Qiongqi had never seen it before. "What indestructible body? Why would I cultivate such a low-level thing?" Ming Qiong said disdainfully. The cultivation techniques of the foreign realms focused on two aspects. One was the physical body. The foreign realms' techniques had all sorts of methods to make the physical body even stronger. The other was devouring. Ming Qiong could devour the heavens and earth. This guy had once devoured an entire city of living beings in one go. He was regarded by the living beings of the heaven realm as an existence even more terrifying than demons. Ming Qiong's body was like a black hole, constantly devouring the surrounding spirit qi. His cultivation and battle strength continued to rise. Just like that, Ming Qiong grew stronger and stronger as he fought. It seemed like defeating Qiongqi was not an impossible task. However, Qiongqi seemed to have seen through Ming Qiong's intentions. The current situation was definitely not a good thing for him. The Black Chilean Tiger Emperor was just a bystander. When it saw Qiongqi reveal an opening, it immediately launched a frenzied attack. But when Qiongqi did not reveal an opening, the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor retreated far away. The Black Chilean Tiger Emperor's fighting style had a significant impact on Qiongqi. At this time, the Heavenly Palace Saintess did not leave. Instead, she intercepted a big ferocious beast and fought with it. That big ferocious beast was a phoenix. The phoenix was a divine bird that looked very much like a phoenix. However, this divine bird was not a real phoenix, but it had the blood of a real phoenix running through its veins. The big ferocious phoenix spread its wings. Feathers flew out from its wings with a clanging sound. They turned into rays of dazzling sword light that slashed at the Heavenly Palace Saintess. "You're just a feathered beast. How dare you act so presumptuously in front of me?" the Heavenly Palace Saintess said coldly. Boom! She waved her hands and a vortex appeared in front of her, emitting a terrifying heaven-devouring power. Then, all the rays of sword light slashing at her were sucked into the vortex. At this time, the black vortex in the center of the prison zone continued to expand. The heaven-devouring power surged out of the black vortex, devouring the surrounding void. Some of the big ferocious beasts that could not escape in time were directly devoured, and then there was no more sound. After all, there were not many big ferocious beasts that could survive to this day. As the big ferocious beasts were continuously subdued or killed, the outside of the prison zone gradually calmed down. The Heavenly Palace Saintess subdued the phoenix and left immediately. Not everyone was able to obtain something that satisfied them. Qiongqi ran away, and Ming Qiong did not succeed in subduing Qiongqi. Ji Yufei wanted to attack, but this fellow fled faster than a rabbit. Chapter 2774. The prison region's collapse had a huge impact. Even Shui Yu Heavenly Palace's Holy Lady was alarmed. That Holy Lady was incomparably powerful and cultivated a heaven-defying technique. She subdued a phoenix bird and then left. The other Holy Venerables also had some gains. They took advantage of the weakened vitality of those great ferocious beasts that had escaped to subdue them. Golden Sun Holy Venerable subdued a black flood dragon and left in satisfaction. However, there were some Holy Venerables who did not obtain anything. They did not subdue any great ancient vicious beasts. Some of them were even unlucky enough to be killed and devoured by the great beasts of the ancient era, becoming food for the great ancient beasts. One had to know that not all of the ancient great beasts that escaped from the prison domain were severely injured. Some of them had secret arts that allowed them to retain their peak battle strength. Just like that Cheong-chi ancient ferocious beast, there were some ancient ferocious beasts that were still at their peak. As such, holy venerates that ran into such ancient ferocious beasts would be out of luck. Ji Yufei's harvest was not small either. He had subdued the alien expert Ming Qiong. Even in the alien world, Ming Qiong was a supreme existence. Although this fellow was greatly injured and was no longer as vicious as before, his body was extremely tough. He could fight against an extreme saint weapon. Ji Yufei led Ming Qiong and the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor through the uninhabited area. He wanted to find Zhao Ziru. Rumble. When Ji Yufei and the others arrived in front of a snowy valley, a rumbling sound rang out from the valley. An aura that caused their hearts to palpitate enveloped the entire valley. Chilean halberd. When Ji Yufei sensed the aura in the valley, his heart couldn't help but tremble. This was the aura of the Chilean halberd. Could it be that the mysterious woman was in the valley? He was not in a hurry to enter the valley, but waited outside to see what would happen. The Chilean halberd was an extreme saint artifact of the Great Path. It was forged by a sovereign using the body of the Chilean divine beast of the Supreme Emperor realm. Once this extreme saint artifact went out of control, it would be a disaster. Your Honor, the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor transformed into a black-robed youth and followed behind Ming Qiong. Chilean halberd, Ming Qiong muttered to himself. He was also very jealous of that halberd. The extreme Dao saint artifact refined by the human race was truly powerful. It was so powerful that it could injure his physical body. In the outer realm, this was an inconceivable thing. Outer space did not possess such a powerful weapon. The reason for that was because the strongest aspect of outer space was the fleshly body of cultivators. But with Ji Yufei here, how could it be his turn? Since Ji Yufei had no intention of entering the snow valley, Ming Qiong did not dare act rashly. If he angered Ji Yufei, he would not have a good ending. Finally, Ji Yufei ascended a snowy peak near the snowy valley and sat cross-legged on the peak. At this moment, it was as if a terrifying heavenly beast had awoken from its slumber in the valley. An enormous Chilean image appeared in the sky above the valley, roaring at the sky. There's a problem with the Chilean halberd. Ji Yufei muttered to himself. This seemed to be the only explanation for the sudden change in the prison zone. Nothing had happened for countless years, but now of all times, something had happened. He sensed that there was another force in the valley that was suppressing the Chilean's power. Someone had activated an extremely powerful force to suppress that halberd. Ming Qiong and the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor stood behind Ji Yufei. They looked at each other and saw a trace of confusion in each other's eyes. As Ji Yufei sat cross-legged on the snowy peak, quietly observing the situation, the forces of heaven and earth gathered outside the forbidden West Dark Sea in the far west. The old tortoise was still setting up the formation. He had to make sure nothing went wrong, but nothing in this world was foolproof, especially when it came to attacking the forbidden zone. If Ji Yufei comes to help, the chances of success will be at least 60 to 70%. The old tortoise stood on a mountain ridge outside the West Dark Sea, gazing into the distance. At this moment, the West Dark Sea was very calm. It was not an ordinary calm, but an absolute calm. It was so calm that it made people feel endless pressure. The ruler of the West Dark Sea did not react at all. He allowed the old tortoise to set up the formation and did not interfere, nor did he send out any creatures from the forbidden zone to cause trouble. At this time, many experts had gathered outside the West Dark Sea. They were all experts from other parts of the heaven realm. They were also very curious to see if the old tortoise could succeed. If he succeeded, then the West Dark Sea would be the first forbidden zone to be leveled since ancient times. The impact would be far-reaching. However, if he failed, it did not seem to be a big deal. One should know that since ancient times, many people had tried to level the forbidden zones, but no one had ever succeeded. Some people thought that the old tortoise could not succeed because even the ancient supremes could not level the forbidden zones. One could imagine how difficult it was to do so. However, some people thought that the old tortoise had a chance because he had the Tai Huang seal, which was an extreme demon weapon. The old tortoise was very careful. There were also powerful beings from the heaven realm who had rushed to the West Dark Sea. They would only listen to the old tortoise's orders, and only the old tortoise was qualified to order them around. It seemed that Ji Yufei was temporarily unable to attend to other matters and could not rush back to help him attack the Western Netherworld Sea. However, the old tortoise did not seem to be in a hurry to attack the West Dark Sea. Therefore, he still had time to wait and improve the formation as much as possible. Even with the Tai Huang seal and the peerless ominous blade, the old tortoise still felt that it was not enough. Moreover, those people were not willing to help. If they were willing to help, the matter would be solved easily. Just as the old tortoise was planning to wait for Ji Yufei to return, in the southern mountains, the conflict between the southern mountains god emperor Kang Xiao and the fire emperor was on the verge of breaking out. The southern mountains god emperor wanted to take back his lost territory, but the fire emperor was incomparably strong and did not intend to give way at all. The two great emperors were at daggers drawn. The Luoxia city in the mountains was still very peaceful. The people here still went to work at sunrise and returned at sunset, living a simple and peaceful life. In the courtyard, Yang was in seclusion, Ji Yuling was still appearing and disappearing unpredictably, while Ji Yuling's disciple and the new little boy Ji Yufei accepted were working hard to cultivate. They had to improve their cultivation as soon as possible. When the great chaos came, only the strong would have a chance to survive. The weak would only become cannon fodder. The courtyard in Luoxia city was a forbidden area. Other than the old immortal emperor, no one in Luoxia city could enter it, not even the other important people in Luoxia city. After the old tortoise left, the place became much quieter. However, as the two great forces confronted each other, conflicts broke out in the southern mountains. Fortunately, Luoxia city was in the mountains, so it was not affected for the time being. Moreover, the subordinates of the Fire Emperor had suffered a great loss in Luoxia city, so they did not dare to attack Luoxia city again. Although the fire race was strong, the old tortoise and Ji Yufei were not to be trifled with. The Fire Emperor did not want to provoke these two ruthless people, because the Southern Mountains God Emperor, Kang Xiao, had already given him a headache. If he became enemies with Ji Yufei and Old Tortoise, the consequences would be unpredictable if the three Emperor-level existences joined hands to deal with him. Although the Fire Emperor was powerful, he wasn't arrogant enough to contend with three emperors at the same time. This was especially true for Ji Yufei, who was a ferocious person of his generation. Even the primordial heavenly emperor had suffered a great loss at his hands. The Fire Emperor had a certain understanding of what kind of person the ancient Yuan heavenly emperor was. The Fire Emperor did not want to provoke Ji Yufei, but there was someone who did not care about Ji Yufei. One evening, a figure appeared outside the courtyard. Boom! That person did not say a word and directly pressed his palm forward. A huge palm immediately appeared in the void, enveloping the entire heaven and earth as it descended towards the courtyard. Enemy attack! A loud shout came from the courtyard. At this moment, the huge palm that fell from the sky had already reached the sky above the courtyard and was about to fall. At this moment, a ball of divine light appeared in the void, enveloping the entire courtyard. The huge hand that slapped down from the sky directly blasted the layer of divine light. The entire courtyard shook, but the layer of divine light blocked the huge palm. What? The person who saw this scene couldn't help but be moved. Even he could not break the protective formation of this place. This was really embarrassing. I was wondering who it was. So it's you. At this moment, Yang who was in seclusion, heard the commotion and walked out of her seclusion. She saw a familiar face. This person was the ancient Yuan heavenly emperor. That person was dressed in white and stood outside the courtyard. He was exceptionally eye-catching. Moreover, there were 9 rays of divine light revolving around his body, making him look like an immortal that had descended from the 9 heavens. The aura of the immortal path was vast and mighty. The ancient Yuan heavenly emperor made his move once again. Immediately, a resplendent swordlight rushed out of his body and fell towards the courtyard like a divine rainbow falling from the sky. A wave of cold and incomparably sharp sword chi spread in all directions, causing the surrounding temperature to drop rapidly. This was the ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor's killing move, the flying immortal swordlight. This flying immortal swordlight could cut down the stars in the sky. This sword path was born from the Paragon sword path. Although the ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor had not obtained the complete inheritance of the 9 sky punishing swords, the flying immortal swordlight was still extremely sharp and had the shadow of the Paragon sword path. Ji Fei had obtained the 9 sky punishing swords from the ancient stone carvings, but the ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor had only comprehended the flying immortal swordlight from the ancient stone carvings. The true and complete 9 sky punishing swords was many times more powerful than the flying immortal swordlight that the ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor had comprehended himself. The Paragon sword path couldn't be replicated. The sword path that the ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor had comprehended seemed right but was actually wrong. However, it wasn't the true Paragon sword path. At this moment, the flying immortal swordlight descended, but it was still blocked by the layer of divine light. The sharp swordlight couldn't break the great array that enveloped the courtyard. Mph, don't waste your energy. This is a great array laid down by that big turtle. You won't be able to break it, Yang Er said disdainfully. At this time, everyone in the courtyard was alarmed and they all ran out. Preposterous. The ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor gritted his teeth. He wanted nothing more than to kill his way into the courtyard, capture Ji Fei's wife and daughter, and then threaten Ji Fei to submit. Chapter 2775. The ancient Yuan Celestial the Arch had suddenly come to the Nanling Mountains to capture Yang Er and Ji Ling. This way, Ji Fei would be at his mercy. The ancient Yuan Celestial the Arch, who had been silent for so long, had finally come out. A powerful sage aura spread from his body, causing the entire world to shake. What's going on? Is an emperor descending? In Luoxia City, the old immortal emperor of Luoxia City was shocked to the extreme. The emperor's aura coming from the courtyard of Luoxia City was too powerful and terrifying. The old immortal emperor sensed that something was wrong, but he was powerless. Given his cultivation, he wouldn't be able to withstand the emperor aura without the protection of the Great Formation. The pressure of an emperor was too powerful. Only a sage could withstand it. Ancient Yuan you're really despicable. You don't dare to find my father, but you come to bully us women. Do you think you're worthy of being called a celestial the Arch? A bell-like voice rang out from the courtyard in Luoxia City. A young girl appeared in the sky above the courtyard. She was smiling as she looked at the primordial celestial emperor outside the courtyard. Little girl, when the Arch dominated the heaven realm, I didn't even know where your parents were. How dare you be so presumptuous in front of the Arch? The ancient Yuan Celestial the Arch was furious. You're just taking advantage of your seniority. Go find my father if you have the guts. What kind of hero are you to bully a weak woman? Your reputation will be ruined if this gets out, Ji Ling said coldly. Haha, do you think anyone will know about this? The ancient Yuan Celestial the Arch laughed. Buzz. At this moment, an ancient cauldron rushed out of the side courtyard and floated in the sky, emitting a powerful sage aura. The ancient Yuan Celestial the Arch was shocked when the ancient cauldron appeared. He thought it was the mountain river cauldron, but after taking a closer look, he realized that it wasn't. This ancient cauldron was Yang Er's myriad medicine cauldron. Rumble, the void trembled as 18 black shadows rushed out of the myriad medicine cauldron. They looked like death gods crawling out of hell, each of them emitting a powerful death aura. At this time, the myriad medicine cosmos cauldron had already transformed into the myriad poison cosmos cauldron. This was a great treasure left behind by Yang Er's master. It was a sacred tool refined by an ancient medicine saint. This ancient cauldron had already been refined into Yang Er's sacred tool. A mere incarnation dares to come here and behave atrociously? A white figure walked out from the courtyard. It was a woman with a veil over her face. This person was Yang Er. Even if it's just a clone, it's more than enough to capture you. The ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor said coldly. Mother, why did you come out? Leave this fellow to me. Ji Ling said. Master, who is this person? He's really fierce. Then, Yang and Zhao Hao walked out. Before Jiu Fei left, he asked Yang and her daughter to teach them on his behalf, as he did not have the time to teach these two successors. Oh, this guy is called Yuan Jiu. He used to be a celestial emperor, but he was chased out of the eastern region by your grandmaster. He became a stray dog and only dares to come here to bark. Jiu Ling said disdainfully. Oh, so it's this guy. He's a mad dog. Yang suddenly understood. Yang smiled as she watched the scene, allowing Jiu Ling and the others to mock Yuan Jiu. Damn it, I'll kill you all. The ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor was going crazy. He roared and attacked. Rays of dazzling swordlight rushed out of his hand and shot towards the courtyard's grand array. Rumble, the courtyard's grand array shook. Yuan Gu's soaring immortal swordlight was powerful enough to cut down the stars in the sky. However, it couldn't break the grand array. Haha, don't waste your energy. This is a grand array laid down by the Demon Lord. Not to mention that you're just an incarnation, even if you come with your real body, it'll be useless. Jiu Ling laughed. It's that old turtle's doing again. The ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor couldn't help but feel apprehensive. He naturally knew how powerful the old turtle was. He was the son of the Grand Emperor, and there weren't many people in the entire heavenly world who dared to challenge him. The old turtle's background was too great. Moreover, the old turtle controlled the Grand Emperor's seal, which was a demonic weapon of the extreme Tao. Swish. At that moment, the 18 black figures rushed out of the courtyard's grand array and attacked the primordial celestial the Arch. These were the shadows created by the cosmic cauldron of myriad poisons, but they contained the strongest poison in the world. Even a sage would die if they were attacked by these shadows. Although the ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor's incarnation didn't have the same cultivation and combat power as his real body, the difference wasn't too great. The combat power it displayed was enough to kill a sage. Boom! A dazzling swordlight spread out from the ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor's body and directly scattered the 18 shadows. This, Yang was shocked. The ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor was indeed extraordinary. This was just an incarnation, but it still possessed such great combat power. If his real body descended, the Sunset Courtyard would really be in danger. However, the grand array protecting the courtyard was personally set up by the old turtle. Even if the ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor's real body descended, he wouldn't be able to break the grand array in a short time. It's only SOSO. The ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor said disdainfully. Let's talk about it after we break in. Jiu Ling said disapprovingly. Alright, you can all go in. Yang called out to Zhao Hao and Yang Haha, let this fellow do as he pleases outside. Jiu Ling laughed. The grand array set up by the old turtle was definitely not simple. If the ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor could really threaten this grand array, it would be a pleasant surprise. The ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor was about to go crazy in the face of Jiu Ling and the others' disdain. However, he also knew that it wouldn't be easy to break the grand array. I don't believe that I can't break this grand array. The ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor was determined. He began to imprint array runes outside the Sunset Courtyard. He wanted to use an array to break the grand array. Only then would he have a chance of breaking the grand array set up by the old turtle. Preposterous. That old turtle isn't the only one who can set up a grand array. I can too. I want to see how long you can hide inside. The ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor was truly enraged. Mother, what should we do? That fellow actually wants to use an array to break the grand array. It seems that ancient Yuan's son is quite capable. Jiu Ling said to Yang in a pavilion in the courtyard. I would be a little worried if the ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor's real body descended, but the person outside is only an incarnation. Don't worry, he won't be able to break in. Yang said. Meanwhile, Yang and Zhao Hao had already entered the cultivation area that Jiu Fei had set up for them to continue cultivating. Yang had innate Dao eyes and a water elemental physique, so her cultivation was naturally much more efficient. At such a young age, she had already cultivated to a level that even the older cultivators could only look up to. As for Zhao Hao, he had the earth elemental physique and was also a good seedling. Under the guidance of Jiu Ling and Yang his cultivation had improved very quickly. Jiu Ling felt a lot more at ease after hearing Yang Er's words. At this time, the news of the ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor's incarnation appearing in Sunset City spread. This made the various forces in the southern mountains feel uneasy. The ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor was not a good person. He was the most mysterious Heavenly Emperor in the history of the Heaven Realm. No one had ever seen his true appearance. This fellow had always appeared in an incarnation. Even when his lair was breached by Jiu Fei, his true body didn't show up. However, the ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor's appearance at this time made people feel puzzled. Could it be that this fellow had lost his territory in the Eastern Territory and had come to the southern mountains to expand? If that was really the case, then the southern mountains would be in complete chaos and countless living beings would suffer a calamity. In the cultivation history of the Heaven Realm, only during the most turbulent and dark times would several great emperors fight at the same time in the same region. However, this was not the Dark Ages. However, the various forces in the southern mountains quickly found out why the ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor had suddenly appeared in the southern mountains. It turned out that the ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor was targeting Jiu Fei. Could it be that the ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor was planning to take revenge on Jiu Fei? Many people wanted to know the ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor's objective, but not everyone could guess his intentions. Just as the ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor was setting up a formation and trying to break through the formation set up by the old turtle, who was far away in the West Dark Sea, sensed something. Who dares to target the mother and daughter? The old turtle was sitting cross-legged on a large rock on a mountain peak outside the West Dark Sea. He did not know who was attacking the Luoxia city courtyard. However, things had not reached the most critical stage yet. How could the formation he had set up be so easily broken? Even if the formation was broken, he still had a backup plan. Even if his last resort was useless, he could still use the inter-district transportation array to return to the Luoxia city courtyard. The old turtle had no intention of going to the southern mountains personally. He was still waiting. But there was still no news from Jiu Fei. He did not know if Jiu Fei had found Zhao Ziru. Meanwhile, Jiu Fei was still sitting cross-legged on the mountain outside the snowy valley, sensing the movements in the valley. The aura of the Qilin halberd coming from the valley gradually weakened. The existence in the valley seemed to have successfully suppressed the power of the Qilin halberd. No one knew where Ming Qiong and the black-scaled tiger emperor had run off to. The no-man's zone was not peaceful. Exceptional powerhouses were hunting down the primordial great beasts that had escaped and devouring the essence of these primordial great beasts. Damn, I'm one step too late again. In a valley, there was a huge skeleton. It was a purple gold Qilin beast. The originally incomparably powerful Qilin beast was now just skin and bones. All of its essence energy had been devoured, and it had died a miserable death here. Chapter 2776. Although the purple gold Qilin was not a real Qilin, it possessed the bloodline of the Qilin mythological beast. However, such a powerful beast had died in this nameless valley. The final resting place of a mythological beast was nothing more than this. Reading the latest novel, could it be that guy with a pair of wings on his back again? The black Qilin tiger emperor carefully examined the skeleton of the purple gold Qilin beast. It discovered that there were 2 bloody holes on the purple gold Qilin beast's neck. Other than those 2 bloody holes, there were no other wounds on the beast's body. It should be that fellow. How dare he? It looks like he's purposely going against us. Ming Qiong was furious. They needed a large amount of essence qi to recover their cultivation, but there was an expert ahead of them, hunting down these mythological beasts that had escaped from the prison zone with great difficulty. The essence qi of these mythological beasts was extremely powerful. Hunting them down and devouring their essence qi was the fastest way to recover one's cultivation. Let's go to the next place. Ming Qiong took a step forward and instantly crossed the void, rushing towards the next place. The black Qilin tiger emperor hurriedly followed. It also needed a large amount of essence qi to recover its cultivation, so following Ming Qiong did not seem to be a bad thing. Ming Qiong's strength was definitely among the top few, even among all the mythological beasts in the prison zone. If not for the fact that his cultivation had been damaged, Cheongchi would be nothing. There was a mythological beast entrenched in the no man's land. On top of a huge mountain, black chi swirled. The sky above the mountain was pitch black, clearly different from the other areas. The lunar raven lives on this mountain? Someone was plotting against a divine bird on the mountain. That was a great sect in the snowy region called the lunar sect. This sect cultivated the power of the lunar yin. If they could subdue this lunar raven, it would definitely be of great benefit to the lunar sect. Perhaps they could even compete with the Golden Crow clan and the Skywolf clan for the position of overlord of the snow region. The person from the lunar sect was an old man who was so old that all his teeth had fallen out. Elder, this lunar raven does not seem to be easy to deal with. A middle-aged daoist standing beside the old man said with a frown. He raised his head and looked at the mountain. The entire mountain was surrounded by yin qi, giving off an eerie and terrifying feeling. On the peak of the mountain, there was a short tree that had died a long time ago. It was a yin tree that only grew in places where yin qi gathered. The great yin fairy crow had landed on this yin tree. Under the influence of the great yin fairy crow's yin qi, this withered yin tree actually showed signs of life again. Of course I know that this crow isn't easy to deal with. Do I need you to tell me that? The old man reached out and gave the middle-aged daoist a knock on the head. Ayo, ancestor, you're using this trick again? The middle-aged daoist rubbed his head and cried in pain. The great yin god crow was a great ancient vicious beast. Wherever it went, life would be severed and countless creatures would fall. This was an inauspicious vicious bird. In the distant past, this lunar divine crow was also known as the dark crow. As long as the dark crow appeared, it would become a place of great danger. You wait here. I'll go up and fool this vicious bird. The elder of the lunar sect straightened his clothes and flew toward the peak of the mountain. Soon, he arrived in front of the yin tree on the peak of the mountain. The dark crow stood on a branch of the yin tree, motionless as if it was asleep. It did not pay any attention to the old man in front of the yin tree. The old man coughed and said to the dark crow on the tree, I am the sect elder of the lunar sect. I would like to invite Lord Divine Crow to come out of the mountain. The lunar sect will worship Lord Divine Crow as the supreme sacrifice. He will be below one and above all. The dark crow still did not respond. The cold aura that spread out from the bird's body caused the old man to feel waves of cold air assaulting his body. Even someone as powerful as him could not help but be moved. Lord Divine Crow, what do you think of my suggestion? To my lord, joining hands with my sect is definitely 100 benefits and no harm at all. The old man continued to fool the dark crow. However, no matter what the old man said, the dark crow on the yin tree did not respond at all. How dare you? Since you refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit, don't blame me for being ruthless. The old man was angry. He wasted so much time talking, but in the end, he was directly ignored by the primordial vicious bird. This made him very unhappy. However, even though the old man pointed at the vicious bird on the yin tree and cursed, the vicious bird still did not respond. What? This vicious bird can't be dead, right? The old man muttered. That shouldn't be the case. The incomparably strong power of yin on this ferocious bird was real. The vitality on its body could not be deceived. However, for some reason, the vicious bird still ignored the old man. Could it be that there is a problem with the vicious bird itself? Thinking of this, the old man couldn't help but be pleasantly surprised. He carefully took out a black object from his body and threw it towards the bird on the shady tree. Whoosh! That mass instantly dispersed, like a dark cloud, and shrouded the vicious bird on the shade tree. It turned out to be a large black net. A powerful cold aura spread from this large net, and the top of the mountain was immediately filled with yin energy. Something unexpected happened. The vicious bird on the yin tree still did not respond and was unexpectedly caught by the large net that the old man threw out. No way. The old man was dumbfounded when he saw this. Could it be that this divine crow did not even have the strength to resist? Otherwise, how could he have succeeded so easily? Even the middle-aged daoist at the bottom of the mountain was very confused. He thought that there would be a great battle, but he did not expect this result. "Ha ha," the old man laughed, and his aged voice spread from the top of the mountain. He directly pulled back the net and used it to wrap the black crow. He held it in his hand and was about to go down the mountain. Just at this moment, a figure silently pounced down from the pitch-black sky towards the old man on the mountain top without any warning. It was a strange beast with a pair of wings on its back. "Patriarch, be careful." The middle-aged daoist at the bottom of the mountain saw everything clearly and quickly warned the old man on the top of the mountain. "Buzz." The old man did not hesitate and directly spat out a dark sword shadow. The sword shadow rushed up to the sky and directly strangled the strange beast that swooped down from the sky. Roar. The strange beast let out a roar, causing the sky to tremble and spatial cracks to appear in the void. The strange beast stretched out its right claw and directly slapped the dark sword shadow away. At the same time, its other claw grabbed at the old man's head. "Is this the legendary great fierce Cheong-chi?" When the middle-aged daoist at the bottom of the mountain saw the appearance of the strange beast, he was really shocked. He directly rushed up to the sky and charged towards the top of the mountain. "Go!" The middle-aged daoist waved his hands, and rays of dark light turned into crescent blades of light, slashing towards the ancient great fierce beast. Every light blade cut through the void. Swoosh! At this moment, the great fierce Cheong-chi flapped its wings, which were like heavenly blades. Endless blade light rushed out and blocked all the light blades that came slashing down. Buzz! At this moment, the void shook and a black moon rose up from the back of the old man's head. Terrifying power of the moon spread out from the black moon and directly forced the great fierce Cheong-chi back. The power of the moon was extremely yin and cold. Once the black moon appeared, it immediately froze thousands of miles. Although the Cheong-chi retreated quickly, it was still frozen by the mighty power of the moon. Bam! The thick layer of ice on the great fierce Cheong-chi's body shattered, and a domineering and extremely fierce aura exploded from its body. "It's the great fierce Cheong-chi." The old man was extremely shocked. If it was not for his quick reaction, he would probably have been plotted against by the great fierce beast. He soared into the sky and used his powerful mystical techniques to fight with the great fierce beast. The black moon filled the sky, shattering heaven and earth, and freezing thousands of miles. He wanted to capture the beast. Although the old man was so old that all his teeth had fallen out, he was unimaginably powerful. He could actually fight with the great fierce Cheong-chi endlessly. One should know that although the great fierce beast had been sealed in the prison zone for countless years, it was not injured at all. It was still in peak condition. Even in the distant past, few people could defeat such a great fierce beast, let alone in the present. There was actually such an ancestor in the lunar sect. If news of this spread, it would definitely shock the snow region. It would change the power structure of the snow region. Hong long long, the entire mountain was collapsing. The waves of power that descended were far too powerful and could destroy everything. At this moment, the middle-aged daoist retreated. He was no longer able to interfere in a battle of this level. Soon, the ancestor of the lunar sect was gradually at a disadvantage. The great fierce Cheong-chi was, after all, the great fierce beast of the ancient times. The great fierce beast gradually gained the upper hand. What's happening? At this moment, Jiu Fei, who was sitting cross-legged on the mountain ridge outside the nameless valley, sensed the fluctuation coming from the depths of the no man's area. It was an extremely cold aura, as well as a fiendish aura. Two powerful cultivators were fighting. Jiu Fei did not pay attention to it. However, the figures of Ming Qiong and the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor appeared near that area. They stood in the distant sky and watched the battle between the great fierce Cheong-chi and the lunar sect ancestor. Fight, haha, it's best if both sides are injured. The Black Chilean Tiger Emperor said gloatingly. Ming Qiong's expression was somewhat serious. Things did not seem to be so simple. Chapter 2777. While old ancestor Tai Yin was fighting against Cheong-chi, he suddenly let out a miserable shriek and fell from the sky. Just as old ancestor Tai Yin fell from the sky, a ball of dark light shot up from his side. Within the dark light, a black divine bird was spreading its wings. An extremely powerful wave of the power of yin emanated from the divine bird. It was as if the entire world was going to be frozen and the void was about to solidify. Roar! Old ancestor Tai Yin roared angrily. He never expected that the black crow, who had been silent all this while and was trapped by his great yin net, would suddenly launch an attack. Rumble! An extremely powerful aura erupted from the black crow, shaking the heavens and earth. It was extremely terrifying. The middle-aged Daoist who had retreated to the distant sky was extremely shocked to see this scene. It was hard to imagine that a black crow the size of an adult's fist could emit such a powerful aura. Old ancestor, the middle-aged Daoist hurriedly rushed over to catch old ancestor Tai Yin who was falling from the sky. However, at this moment, old ancestor Tai Yin stopped falling and shot up into the sky. Half of his body was surrounded by the divine yin flame. It seemed that he had been hit by the divine yin crow's attack. Half of his clothes were burnt to ashes and his skin was charred black. Although they both cultivated the power of yin, the ancient ferocious beast, Dark Crow, was an ancient great omen with unparalleled ferocity. The divine yin fire cultivated by Dark Crow was extremely domineering. Sounds of wind and thunder came out from Tai Yin ancestor's body. The divine yin flame on half of his body was quickly refined, and the charred flesh fell off. The new flesh was as clear as jade, with the divine yin light swimming around it. Old man, you want to subdue me? Ha ha. It's more likely that I'm the one subduing you. A wave of spiritual will spread from Black Crow's body and a voice sounded in everyone's mind. At this moment, the ancient great omen Cheong Chi displayed its supreme technique. Its body turned into a black hole and tried to swallow Black Crow into the terrifying vortex. You glutton, you want to eat me? Go eat shit. Black Crow flapped its wings and shot up into the sky. Then, bird feces really fell from the sky and was swallowed by the black hole. Roar! Cheong Chi's roar came out from the black hole, shaking the heaven and earth. This Dark Crow was too hateful and shameless. It actually released a pile of bird droppings. At this moment, a gigantic beast claw reached out from the black hole, grabbing at Hei Ya who was high up in the sky. Haha, do you still want to eat it? Unfortunately, I don't have any more shit for you to eat. If you want to eat it, next time. The black crow flapped its wings, and two beams of black light rushed out from its wings. They instantly enlarged, and emitted a terrifying energy wave, slashing towards the beast's claw. Boom! The two beams of black light collided with the beast claw, resulting in a loud explosion. The black light and the beast claw dissipated into the void at the same time. A terrifying destructive force swept out in all directions, and the void was being annihilated and collapsed. That wave of power descended from the sky, causing the snowy mountains below to collapse and the earth to sink. Huge, bottomless cracks appeared on the ground. What? You're also in peak condition? In the void, the great ominous beast Cheong Chi's exclamation rang out. Hihi. You're not the only idiot who has the means to resist the power of the prison grand formation. The Dark Crow said disdainfully. That's even better. After devouring you, I might be able to take that step. Cheong Chi said coldly. I should be the one saying that. The Dark Crow hovered in the sky, emitting a dazzling black light like a black sun in the sky. Although it was only the size of a fist, it was definitely extremely powerful. You dare to plot against me? At this time, old ancestor Tai Yin had also arrived in the sky. He stared at the fist-sized Dark Crow and said fiercely, his eyes flickering with killing intent. This old ancestor of the lunar sect was not a kind person. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to live until now. An old antique who could live from the ancient times to the present was not someone ordinary people could compare with. Hihi, so what if I plot against you? What can you do to me? The Dark Crow sneered. Fellow Daoist, let's join hands and take down this despicable Dark Crow. At this time, the black vortex disappeared, and a middle-aged man in black appeared in the void. This middle-aged man was the transformation of the great vicious Cheong Chi. This middle-aged man had a head of white hair, a tall and sturdy body, giving off a wild aura. His whole body seemed to be filled with great power. The great vicious Cheong Chi was a famous ferocious beast that shook the untainted land in the ancient times. However, the dark crow was not simple either. Its background was not inferior to Cheongchees. Moreover, it was extremely cunning and more dangerous than the great vicious Cheongchee. All right. Old ancestor Tai Yin stared at the dark crow and smiled. You two idiots, what's the use even if you join hands? I'm going to devour your origin energy and take that step. The dark crow said viciously. Is that so? The white-haired middle-aged man approached the dark crow with a sinister smile. The mighty aura from his body shook the heaven and earth. Humph. At this time, the dark crow's body also emitted a mighty aura. 3 powerful auras that caused all living beings to tremble surged between the heaven and earth and spread far away. 3 paragon-level living beings. While the 3 experts were facing off against each other, on a mountain range tens of thousands of miles away from the 3 experts, a figure sitting cross-legged on a boulder opened his eyes. This person was Ji Yufei. When the mighty aura of a paragon arrived, the energy ripples of the Chilean halberd in the valley were finally suppressed. Then, a figure walked out of the valley. The mysterious woman who took the Chilean halberd walked out of the valley with the Chilean halberd in her hand. At this time, the Chilean halberd in her hand became simple and unadorned, but it still emitted a faintly discernible vicious aura. You've finally come out. When the mysterious woman walked out of the valley, Ji Yufei also stood up from the rock and directly jumped down from the mountain, landing in front of the mysterious woman. The mysterious woman was very calm, as if she had long known of Ji Yufei's existence. You're Ji Yufei. The mysterious woman looked at Ji Yufei for a long time before saying, You know me. Ji Yufei couldn't help but be startled. Of course I know you. You should know that you're very famous in the heaven realm. The mysterious woman said calmly. Ji Yufei had once turned the Eastern Earth upside down. He had even beaten the primordial celestial Theatres people into a sorry state and killed one of his most powerful clones. Chapter 2778. Who the hell are you? Ji Yufei looked at the mysterious lady and said calmly. This lady had a power that could conceal her aura. Even his martial path heavenly eye could not see through her. It doesn't matter who I am. It's fine as long as I know who you are. The mysterious lady said. Haha. Is that so? I would like to see what you look like under the veil. Ji Yufei suddenly said with a smile as a powerful aura spread out from his body. He didn't have any enmity towards this mysterious woman, but he was very curious about her identity. Let's see if you have the ability to do so. The mysterious lady said with a smile. She tightened her grip on the Chilean halberd and an equally powerful aura burst out from her body. This mysterious lady was able to fight against the saintess of the heavenly palace and successfully leave with the Chilean halberd. This was enough to show how powerful she was. The saintess of the heavenly palace was extremely powerful. She was a holy venerate. Do you know a lady called Zhao Ziru? Ji Yufei looked at the masked lady and suddenly asked. Zhao Ziru. The mysterious lady's eyes flickered and said, I don't know her. However, this slight change did not escape Ji Yufei's eyes. He knew that this mysterious lady definitely knew something or knew Zhao Ziru. Looks like I can only find out what I want to know after I capture you. Ji Yufei said. You are very confident. The mysterious lady's eyes lit up. Even when facing Ji Yufei, she was still full of battle intent. She was not afraid to fight against Ji Yufei. Since you know who I am and still dare to fight against me, it seems that you are also very confident. Ji Yufei sized up the mysterious lady and said. Rumble. At this moment, a shocking sound was heard from afar. It turned out that the great ominous Cheongchees, the ancient dark crow, and the Tai Yin ancestor had finally started their battle. Swoosh. The mysterious lady took advantage of the moment when Ji Yufei was distracted and soared into the sky. You want to leave? Is that even possible? Ji Yufei smiled and chased after him unhurriedly. At this moment, in the depths of the no man's area, 3 figures that caused even the world to tremble moved quickly in the sky. Every single one of them could shatter the void. Rumble. The entire sky seemed like it was about to collapse. The terrifying aura that was being emitted even spread out from the no man's area, causing all the experts in the snow region to feel their hearts palpitate. What happened? There were also many holy venerables in the snowy region. They immediately sensed the auras of the three supreme holy venerables and were indescribably shocked. The holy venerables in the snowy domain knew about the great changes that had occurred in the no-man's area. However, they were busy with their own matters and naturally didn't have the time to care about what was happening in the no-man's area. Could it be that the legends are true? There are unimaginably powerful creatures hiding in the no-man's land. Someone said something like that. Even the strong cultivators of Shui you didn't dare to underestimate a holy sovereign. The Golden Crow clan, the Heavenly Wolf clan, and the Zhao clan all stopped. These three clans were fighting for the position of overlord of the Shui region. However, this was an internal matter of the Shui region. If a holy venerate really came out of the no-man's area, the Shui region would be plunged into misery and suffering. Not only did the Zhao family and the other super forces feel the pressure coming from the no-man's zone, but the other forces in the snow region also felt uneasy. At that moment, the descendant of the heavenly palace of Shui Yu appeared. After so many years, the heavenly palace of Shui Yu appeared again. This time, the heavenly palace of Shui Yu couldn't just sit and watch. The figure of the heavenly palace saintess appeared in the ancestral land of the Golden Crow clan. She was personally led into the ancestral land by the Golden Crow great ancestor. However, in less than an hour, the heavenly palace saintess left. This saintess seemed to be very busy. She rode on the newly subdued phoenix and rushed to the next place. The heavenly palace of Snow Domain was preparing for the coming calamity. The prison zone was not simple. Not only were the experts from the outer realm and the primordial great beasts sealed there, but there was also an extremely terrifying existence sealed there. Once that existence recovered, it would be a great disaster for the entire northern snowy region. The figure of the heavenly palace saintess soon appeared in the ancestral land of the Heavenly Wolf clan. The Heavenly Wolf great ancestor didn't dare to be negligent and personally came out of the city to welcome her. The saintess didn't stay in the city for long. She directly rode on the phoenix and rushed out of the city, disappearing into the horizon. On this day, the saintess of the heavenly palace paid a visit to the most powerful existences in the northern snowy region. When she personally visited, those existences were very polite to her. No one dared to be negligent. One should know that the heavenly palace of Shui Yu was the true overlord of the northern snowy region. The Zhao family and the Golden Crow clan could only be the overlords when the heavenly palace of Shui Yu didn't appear in the world. The status of the heavenly palace of Shui Yu in the northern snowy region was too high. At this time, the great Yin ancestor and the other holy venerables were fighting without any scruples in the no-man's land. The mighty energy waves directly destroyed the void and caused a great disturbance in the no-man's land. The great beasts that had escaped from the prison domain were all shocked. There were powerful figures in the vicinity. Naturally, these experts included Ming Qiong and the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor. Ming Qiong guarded the side, and the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor was like a tiger eyeing its prey. The mighty aura of these three experts was too powerful. Ming Qiong's vitality was greatly injured and he needed a large amount of essence qi to recover his cultivation. If he could devour these three great beasts, he might be able to take that step. In the distant past, his cultivation had already reached a bottleneck. It was very difficult to take that step in the outside world. In order to take that step, he left the outside world and came to the heaven realm. It was really too difficult to take that step. Some powerful beings were stuck at the holy venerable realm, unable to break through. There was no doubt that the great beasts of the primordial era were powerful. The dark crow was only the size of a fist, but it could release a monstrous divine yin flame that burned the void and forced the great yin ancestor and Qiong Qi to retreat. If this battle had taken place in the outside world, countless beings would have died. It could have destroyed an entire region. That was truly earth-shattering. Bang! A dull sound of impact rang out, and a figure was sent flying. The great yin ancestor was sent flying again. Among the three holy venerables, the great Yin ancestor's cultivation was obviously the weakest. Although he said that he would join forces with Qiong Qi, it was just empty words. The great beast Qiong Qi was definitely unreliable. When it attacked the dark crow, it almost couldn't help but attack the great Yin ancestor several times. The great Yin ancestor roared and charged back from afar. Chapter 2779. Although Tai Yin ancestor was powerful, he was still at a disadvantage compared to the great cursed primordial at his peak. The great cursed primordial's power was boundless, and he kept pushing Tai Yin ancestor back. The dark crow, which was only the size of an adult's fist, was extremely powerful. Even against Cheongqi and Tai Yin ancestor, it wasn't at a disadvantage. That feathered beast is actually so powerful. It looks like it won't be long before it takes that step. Ming Cheong, who was watching the battle from afar, couldn't help but be moved. The dark crow's battle prowess was definitely beyond that of an expert of the same level. Even Cheongqi seemed to be slightly inferior. The human elder's cultivation and battle prowess couldn't be compared to the dark crow's. Rumble, pitch-black spatial fissures appeared in the void, and a powerful aura of destruction seeped out from them. Chaotic chi could be vaguely seen in the spatial fissures. Kill. Tai Yin ancestor roared and charged back from afar. Although he was so old that his teeth and hair were almost all gone, he was still full of battle intent and kept attacking the dark crow. Buzz. The air trembled, and streams of the power of the moon transformed into dark swords that emitted a cold and gloomy aura. They slashed towards the dark crows, and the sword chi swept across the sky. "Old man, are you done yet?" The dark crow roared angrily. Tai Yin ancestors' divine swords were extremely sharp. Even the dark crow had to be careful when dealing with them, so it couldn't use its full strength to deal with Cheongqi. This gave Cheongqi a chance to breathe. It was precisely because Tai Yin ancestor distracted the dark crow that it couldn't defeat Cheongqi. Tai Yin ancestor and Cheongqi worked together to fight against the dark crow. "I'll send you on your way first." The dark crow was furious. It flapped its wings, and rays of dark light shot out from them. Those were formed from its feathers. Each ray of dark light turned into an extremely sharp blade of light that collided with Tai Yin ancestors' divine swords. The dark light blade formed by the dark crow's feather contained the powerful power of the Tai Yin Dao. It broke through Tai Yin Elder's Tai Yin divine sword and continued to slash at Tai Yin Elder. "What?" Old ancestor Tai Yin was shocked. He didn't expect the dark crow's light blade to be able to break his great Yin divine sword. He quickly retreated in shock. Shua. At this moment, a black light blade instantly slashed across his left forearm. He only felt a chill on his forearm before his forearm fell off. This, Tai Yin old ancestor was dumbfounded. He couldn't believe that his opponent's light blade could hurt his Tai Yin godly physique. After all, he had cultivated the Tai Yin physique. The power of the divine extreme Yin body was undeniable. Even a holy venerate saint artifact would not be able to hurt him. However, his left forearm had been cut off by a light blade. He hurriedly caught his left forearm, and a layer of black light emerged from his body, protecting him as he quickly retreated to avoid the attack. The streaks of dark light were blocked by a layer of divine light that emerged from Tai Yin ancestor's body. It was not an ordinary protective god shield. To be safe, old ancestor Tai Yin crushed a protective ancient talisman. This kind of protective ancient talisman was extremely precious and could block powerful attacks from holy venerates. Even though the dark crow was an ancient great ominous beast with extremely powerful battle strength, it was still blocked by the protective ancient talisman and could not hurt old ancestor Tai Yin, whom the dark crow was very surprised. He didn't expect this human to have such a protective ancient talisman. "I won't accompany you anymore." Old ancestor Tai Yin knew that it was impossible to subdue the dark crow. Therefore, he retreated as expected. He took a step forward and appeared beside the middle-aged man. He then grabbed the middle-aged man and fled. Preposterous. At the sight of this, the Cheongqi was beyond shocked. He had to join forces with this human to barely fight against this dark crow. To think that this human would run away at this moment. With his strength alone, there was no way he could be a match for this dark crow. Cheongqi wanted to leave as well. However, the dark crow held him back and used all sorts of killing techniques, wanting nothing more than to chop Cheongqi into 8 pieces and devour them one by one. The dark crow's feathers turned into blades of light that were extremely powerful. Without old ancestor Tai Yin holding him back, he could use his full strength to deal with Cheongqi. Very soon, a series of wounds appeared on Cheong-chi's body. Haha. To think that a glutton like you would have such a day. What a terrible karma. The dark crow burst out laughing. Cheong-chi was a true glutton who wanted to eat anything and everything. But now, he was in danger of being eaten by the dark crow. This made him feel extremely aggrieved. Damn it. Do you really think that you can eat me? Dream on. Cheong-chi roared. Just then, Ming Cheong, who was watching the battle from afar, sensed a familiar aura nearby. This aura made him feel extremely uneasy. Why is he here as well? Ming Cheong looked in the direction of the aura and saw a black figure flash across the sky, disappearing in an instant. At the same time, he also sensed another aura. So that's how it is. Ming Cheong now knew why this person was nearby. He must have followed the mysterious woman here. Ming Cheong's attention returned to the two experts fighting in front of him. Both of them were holy venerables. Just as the dark crow and Cheong-chi were locked in a stalemate, a loud sound suddenly rang out from the depths of no man's zone. A gust of black chi shot into the sky from the depths of no man's zone and spread out, enveloping the entire area. What? All the powerful beings were extremely shocked when they sensed the cold and terrifying aura emanating from the black chi. Demon. Just then, Ji Fei, who had been chasing the mysterious woman, suddenly stopped and looked into the depths of no man's zone. All he saw was that the black chi had enveloped the entire area. It was so dark that it looked like it was about to descend from the sky to the ground. Isn't the heavenly realm a pure land? How can there be demons? Ji Fei muttered to himself. Since a demon had been born, he naturally had to put everything else aside and deal with the demon that had been born first. At this time, the other powerful beings were alarmed. It's coming. It's coming after all. A sigh came from the heavenly palace of Snow Domain. Then, a figure walked out from the ancestral grounds of the heavenly palace of Snow Domain and disappeared into the void. Roar. A demonic howl shook the heavens as a figure stood up from the depths of no man's zone. The figure was much taller than a mountain and its body exuded a monstrous demonic aura. Even the battle between the dark crow and Cheong-chi stopped. There's a demon imprisoned in the depths of no man's zone? Great ominous, Cheong-chi said in shock. His eyes flickered. It's not a good thing for a demon to appear in the heavenly realm. Just as all the living beings were bewildered, the gigantic demonic figure opened its mouth and inhaled. The spiritual chi in the surroundings immediately gathered towards the demonic figure in a frenzy. The true demon ancestor has finally escaped. Someone said something like that. What's the situation with the true demon ancestor? Ji Fei couldn't help muttering to himself. Since the true demon ancestor has yet to recover to his peak condition, let's attack together and kill this demon. Someone shouted. That's right. Someone agreed. After all, the ancient demon ancestor's emergence would cause a great calamity to the entire heavenly realm. The ancient demon ancestor was much more tyrannical and cruel than the extraterrestrial experts. Kill. Someone made a move. A dazzling divine light turned into a divine spear and pierced towards the gigantic demonic figure in the depths of no man's zone. However, to everyone's bewilderment, the divine spear was directly devoured by the demonic shadow. The massive amount of spiritual energy that formed the divine spear was completely devoured and transformed into the purest demonic energy. Boom. Then, a golden divine light that emitted billions of golden rays descended from the sky. It was like a golden sun descending from the sky and pressed down on the demonic figure. Chapter 2780. No one thought that there was a powerful and terrifying demon sealed in the prison zone. Some people knew the origin of the demon. It was the legendary true demon ancestor. The Chilean halberd was used to suppress the true demon ancestor. However, the mysterious woman took the Chilean halberd away, allowing the true demon ancestor to be born. Roar. The huge demonic shadow formed by endless demonic chi roared at the sky. The terrifying demonic sound echoed in the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Even the sage-level living beings felt their souls trembling. The demonic sound spread out from the no man's area. More than half of the living beings in the northern snowy region could hear it clearly. The demonic sound contained a powerful demonic aura, which made the hearts of the living beings palpitate. especially the living beings in the no man's area. The weaker ones had their natures eroded by the demonic aura. They became cruel and violent. Some even went mad and died. Even the sage-level living beings felt their souls tremble, let alone the other living beings. Rumble, at this moment, a dark light descended from the sky. It emitted an extremely cold aura. It was like a black sun falling from the sky. It pressed down on the huge demonic shadow. It's the crow. Ji Yufei sensed the fluctuation of the power of yin. He was surprised. The crow was only the size of an adult's fist. However, it was very powerful. The black sun descended, and the cold yin energy that descended from the black sun directly froze the heavens and the earth. However, the demon was unbelievably powerful. The 10,000 jong tall demonic shadow shook slightly. The void that was frozen by the power of yin immediately cracked. It was like a transparent porcelain cracked. In the next moment, boom! The space that had been frozen by the dark crow's power of extreme yin shattered in an instant. The terrifying power of the demonic path exploded, destroying everything. A demonic hand stretched out from the surging demonic chi and directly grabbed the black sun that was pressing down from the sky. Then, it swallowed it in one gulp. All the nearby living beings were stunned by this scene. It should be known that the dark crow was a ferocious bird. The dark crow's strength was obvious to all. Cheung Chi and Tai Yin ancestor had to join forces to resist it. The dark crow's cultivation was extremely strong. It had already reached the peak of the holy venerate realm and was about to take that step. This great demon was able to easily dissolve the dark crow's attack and even devour the power of yin that the dark crow shot out. This was simply too heaven-defying. So powerful. Could it be that this great demon has a cultivation and battle prowess surpassing the holy venerables? Someone exclaimed in shock. The combat prowess displayed by this great devil was way too frightening, causing everyone's hearts to palpitate. One must know that a great devil like this was invincible. Some of the living beings began to retreat. Such a great demon was no longer someone they could contend against. Rumble, the devil chi was vast and mighty, and the devil might emitted from the huge devil shadow was getting stronger and stronger. The true demon ancestor had yet to show himself, but the combat strength he displayed had already shocked many powerful living beings. "My lord, let's leave as well." The Black Chilean Tiger Emperor whispered into Ming Qiong's ear. He had already noticed that many living beings had begun to retreat. "What's there to be afraid of? I'm not even afraid of extreme Dao swords. Why would I be afraid of this so-called demon?" Ming Qiong said disapprovingly. There was no such thing as a demon in the outer domain. This was because all the experts in the outer domain cultivated by devouring the essence of other living beings. "My lord, could it be that you're thinking of devouring this great demon?" The Black Chilean Tiger Emperor said in shock. He could vaguely guess Ming Qiong's plan. He could not help but be moved. One must know that the demon that was about to be born was a demon ancestor. The demon ancestor was the strongest existence among the demons. This true demon ancestor was probably one of the strongest among the demon ancestors. How could he be so easy to deal with? Let's wait and see first. If there's an opportunity, it's not impossible to devour this great demon. Ming Qiong said. He was a little unwilling to retreat just like that. If he could really devour this great demon, he might be able to regain his peak cultivation. At that time, he might have a way to break the seal that Ji Yufei had placed on him. Ming Qiong's eyes lit up at the thought of this. Given his cultivation and temperament, he was naturally unwilling to be Ji Yufei's slave. If there was a chance, he would naturally want to regain his freedom. At this time, the ancient dark crow had already begun fighting with the great demon. The power of yin and demonic Dao were vast and mighty, clashing continuously. Clang! The sound of metal chains clashing could be heard from the rolling demonic chi. At the same time, a black chain rushed out of the demonic chi and coiled around the fist-sized dark crow in the sky. Mitch! The dark crow sneered and opened its mouth to spit out a mouthful of divine yin flames towards the black chain. When the divine yin flames burned the black chain immediately broke and was burned into ashes by the divine yin flames. The divine yin flames came down and a large amount of demonic chi was burned into smoke by the divine yin flames, dissipating in the void. The huge demonic shadow suddenly became faint and illusory, as though it could disappear at any time. This shocked everyone. The ancient dark crow's combat strength was indeed strong. It dared to challenge the great demon ancestor. Moreover, this great demon ancestor was the true demon ancestor. He was extremely powerful. The gigantic demonic shadow dissipated in the end. The primordial dark crow descended from the sky and charged towards the ancestor of True Fiend. It was extremely domineering. This guy is really daring. Ming Qiong couldn't help but sigh when he saw this. The primordial bird truly lived up to its reputation. It was truly ferocious. Endless divine yin flames erupted from the fist-sized dark crow's body, instantly enveloping half the sky and burning the void to noiseless noises. This was a type of divine yin flame. If an ordinary cultivator came into contact with this divine yin flame, they would be burned to ashes and completely disappear from the world. They would not even be able to become a ghost. At this time, the divine yin flame dispersed the demonic chi between heaven and earth. Two huge arms stretched out from the ground. The arms were covered with thick black scales and there was a metal chain tightly wrapped around the arms, binding them. Roar! A deep roar came from the ground. The experts could not help but be shocked when they saw this scene. The ferocious demon had not completely broken free. It was still bound by the metal chain and buried in the ground. It only stretched out two arms. Chapter 2781. The divine yin flame descended from the sky and engulfed everything within a radius of a few hundred miles in an instant. The divine yin flame burned the void until it was annihilated. Roar! A terrifying demonic roar came from the divine yin flame. The ferocious demon was not burned to death. The sound of iron chains colliding against each other resounded continuously. The ferocious demon was struggling to break free. Rumble! The void trembled and the earth cracked. The ferocious devil that had been sealed underground finally broke free. The ground around its two arms cracked unceasingly, and runes appeared unceasingly on the ground. Those were ancient runes. The divine yin flame released by the dark crow could not cause any harm to the ferocious demon. The true demon ancestor's demonic body was extremely strong. However, the iron chains on the true demon ancestor's arms were burned into ashes by the Tai Yin divine flame, freeing his hands. Roar! The ferocious demon roared. The 200 feet long demon arms stretched outwards with all its might. A head the size of a small hill emerged from the ground. Unexpectedly, it was the head of a human with fluffy hair. Its eyes emitted a terrifying blood-red light. Blood-red demonic runes could be vaguely seen in its eyes. What? The ancient ferocious demon, the dark crow, was shocked when it saw this scene. This ferocious demon's demonic body was so strong that it was not afraid of its divine yin flame. The dark crow transformed into a black-haired youth, and then directly attacked the ferocious demons that were crawling out of the ground. Rays of the power of the moon transformed into extremely sharp sword light, cutting through the sky and the void, and slashed towards the demons on the ground, covering the sky and covering the earth. However, a scene that made the dark crow dumbfounded appeared. The ferocious demon did not resist at all. Instead, it allowed the sword lights to land on its body. When the sword lights landed on the ferocious demon's body, clanging sounds could be heard. Sparks flew everywhere. The ferocious demon was not harmed at all. Damn it! The dark crow's forehead was sweating. This ferocious demon's demonic body was too strong. It was many times stronger than the heavenly sovereign-level divine weapon. The dark crow flapped its wings and flew away from the ferocious demon. Boom! Just then, a loud sound rang out from the ground. A mass of demonic energy spread out. That ferocious demon had finally crawled out from the ground. A powerful demonic might radiated from the ferocious demon's body. Black spatial cracks appeared in the sky. It seemed that as long as the ferocious demon willed it, it could destroy the world at any time. Ha ha! I'm finally out. A huge figure stood up from the ground. It was a giant covered in a layer of black scales, except for its head. As soon as I came out, I saw so much blood and flesh. Very good. Since you're here, Don't leave. Be obedient and let me eat you." The ferocious devil laughed wantonly. Some powerful creatures immediately retreated. However, a stream of demonic chi rushed out of the ferocious demon's hand and turned into a demonic chain. It directly pierced through the creature that was trying to retreat, and then it was pulled back into the ferocious demon's hand. The creature in the ferocious demon's hand was a purple-gold profound tortoise. This creature's defensive power was definitely incomparably strong. However, it let out a miserable shriek and was directly crushed by the ferocious demon, turning into a cloud of blood mist. What made all the creature's hair stand on end was that the ferocious demon directly absorbed the essence blood of the purple-gold profound tortoise. The exploded essence blood directly seeped into the ferocious demon's hand. That was a heavenly sovereign-level creature. However, it was killed by the ferocious demon just like that. This made all the creature's hearts turn cold. The ferocious demon raised its head and closed its eyes, as if it was enjoying it very much. After absorbing the essence blood of the purple-gold profound tortoise, the ferocious demon's demonic might became even stronger. Demonic flames surged and rose from its body. "Little bird, it's your turn. Don't think about escaping. You can't escape." At this moment, the ferocious demon stared at the dark crow in the sky. "Che, who do you think you are? Are you still the demonic ancestor at his peak? You just have a powerful demonic body." The black-haired youth that the dark crow had transformed into said disdainfully. "This daddy here will kill you immediately," the ferocious demon said, and immediately soared into the sky, rushing towards the black-haired youth in the sky. He stretched out his hand and a demonic hand directly grabbed at the dark crow. "Heh!" The black-haired youth sneered. Swish! A pair of black wings appeared on his back. The black wings flapped and tore the void apart. The black-haired youth soared into the sky instantly, dodging the ferocious demon's demonic hand. "Heh!" The ferocious demon seemed to be somewhat surprised. The combat strength of an ancient ferocious bird was not to be underestimated. Once it went all out, it would be very terrifying. The black-haired youth's body erupted with an extremely powerful energy wave. The entire void shattered with a flap of his black wings. Preposterous. If this daddy here doesn't show his might, do you really think that this daddy here is really a little bird? The black-haired youth said disdainfully. Then let's fight. The ferocious demon's ferocious aura was unparalleled. He directly attacked the black-haired youth that the dark crow had transformed into. Waves of demonic chi rushed towards the black-haired youth like a mad dragon. The terrifying demonic aura spread out and the sky seemed like it was going to collapse. All the living beings that were watching the battle from afar could not help but retreat. The demonic aura of the ferocious demon was too strong. Even Ming Qiong, who was an extraterrestrial overlord-level existence, could not help but be shocked. This so-called true demon ancestor was indeed somewhat capable. Even if Ming Qiong were to attack, he could only do so much. Moreover, this demon's demonic body was also extremely powerful, probably not any weaker than Ming Qiong's physical body. True demon ancestor, interesting. Far in the sky, Ji Yufei saw this scene and his face became somewhat solemn. The demonic body of the true demon ancestor was unbelievably powerful. Perhaps only an extreme sacred weapon could hurt this supreme demonic body. At this moment, the dark crow and the ferocious demon began to fight. The dark crow no longer held back and used all of his strength to perform a great technique, shattering the void between heaven and earth. The power of yin spread out from the black-haired youth's body, freezing everything. However, the power of yin could not freeze the ferocious demon. Boom! The demonic hand slapped and the black-haired youth that the dark crow had transformed into was blown away, coughing out blood. The dark crow had to admit that this ferocious demon was much stronger than him. Especially the demonic body of the ferocious demon, it was insanely powerful. The old crow can't do it anymore, who's going to help him? Someone said. However, nobody said anything. One should know that the ferocious demon was definitely doomed. Nobody knew that they would die, yet they still went forward to die. Looks like it's my turn. Chapter 2782. Although the ancient ferocious bird dark crow was powerful, He was still a demon ancestor after all. Even if he was sealed in the prison domain for countless years and his vitality was greatly damaged, causing his invincible cultivation base to fall from the demon ancestor realm, his demonic aura was still unparalleled. The black-haired young man who was Dark Crow was forced to retreat continuously and he could not hold on any longer. However, Dark Crow was an ancient ferocious bird after all. It was not an easy task for the demon ancestor to defeat him in a short period of time. Roar! The black-haired young man, who was the Dark Crow, roared furiously. The strong power of extreme yin surged out from his body. 9 black lights floated around him like 9 black suns, releasing terrifying energy waves. At this moment, Dark Crow's hair was disheveled and he was in a sorry state. The 9 black suns were continuously summoned by him and he was attacking the true demon ancestor. Rumble! The 9 black suns exploded continuously and released terrifying destructive energy. A large area of the void was turned into nothingness and everything was destroyed. The black-haired young man used this method to block the true demon ancestor. Since you're going to die, just let me eat you. Ha! The true demon ancestor laughed wantonly and reached out his demonic hand to grab the black suns. The Tai-Yin force that seemed to be able to destroy everything could not hurt him at all. Could it be that this old demon's demonic body is the extreme demonic body? Dark Crow felt that something was amiss. The demonic body of the true demon ancestor was unbelievably powerful. He was about to take that step, but he could not even scratch the skin of the true demon ancestor. However, just as the ferocious demon was feeling extremely pleased with himself, a fist came from behind him silently. Bam! The fist landed on his head. The true demon ancestor only felt a buzzing sound in his head. He staggered and almost fell from the sky with dizziness. What? Seeing this scene, everyone was dumbfounded. Someone actually swung his fist at the true demon ancestor and the fist landed on the head of the true demon ancestor. This scene was truly unbelievable. Roar! The true demon ancestor was furious. He stabilized his body that was sent flying and looked at the person who attacked him. He saw that it was a human. You're courting death. The ancestor of the true devil roared out as he struck out. Instantly, a gigantic demonic hand covered the entire world as it grabbed out at that man. The entire void was shrouded in demonic chi. Ha! Good timing. That person laughed as he slapped out with his palm. A gigantic palm appeared in the sky, slapping towards the demon hand that was coming at him. Powerful energy waves shook the heavens and earth. Boom! With a loud bang, the giant hand and the demonic hand collided. 2 extremely powerful forces collided, turning into a destructive storm that swept out in all directions. That person actually dared to go against the true devil ancestor head-on. Many living beings found it unbelievable. One should know that the true devil ancestor's prowess was obvious to all. Yes. The true demon ancestor, who was shrouded in a demonic aura, could not help but feel a little taken aback when he saw that the other party could take on this move of his. Seemed like this fella did have some capabilities after all. The person who dared to strike out at the true devil ancestor was the powerful being from the outer world, Ming Qiong. Ming Qiong was a powerful being from the outer world. He did not care if his opponent was the true devil ancestor or any other powerful being. As long as there was a chance, he would definitely devour the true devil ancestor. Come on, let me see just how strong you are. Ming Qiong shouted out. He broke through the layers of demonic chi and arrived before the true devil ancestor. He then punched out with all his might, causing the void to collapse due to the immense force of the punch. Is that so? The true devil ancestor laughed coldly as he stared at Ming Qiong. Without dodging or dodging, he pointed out with his right finger. A demonic light shot out from his finger and pierced through Ming Qiong's forehead. Bam! Ming Qiong's mighty punch landed on the chest of the true devil ancestor fiercely. The fist force was extremely ferocious, causing the true devil ancestor to be sent flying. At the same time, the demonic light shot out by the true devil ancestor had also landed on Ming Qiong's forehead. To think that the demonic light could not pierce through Ming Qiong's forehead. The moment the demonic light hit Ming Qiong's forehead, sparks flew. What a strong and powerful physical body. Seeing this scene, All the living beings could not help but be shocked. No wonder this fella dared to challenge the true devil ancestor. The strength of his physical body was definitely not any weaker than the true devil ancestor. The two figures split apart quickly, but immediately charged at each other again. Bam! Bam! Deafening clashing sounds rang out continuously. Ming Qiong and the true devil ancestor were actually fighting in close combat, displaying the strength of their physical bodies. Everyone's hearts palpitated. Even the dark crow was a little dumbfounded. Where did this fella come from? How could he have such strong combat strength? Furthermore, the strength of his physical body did not seem to be any weaker than the true devil ancestor. This battle is going to be interesting. Up in the sky, Jiu Fei was still calm as he witnessed this scene. Ming Qiong had made his move. Ming Qiong was not an ordinary saint lord. This fella's physical body was extremely strong. Even an extreme saint weapon would not be able to destroy his physical body. Bam! A figure flew out. It was Ming Qiong. He was sent flying by a punch from the true devil ancestor. He crashed into a snowy peak far away, causing dust to fly everywhere. Kill. At this moment, the dark crow made his move again. This time, he turned into a Tai Yin saberlight and slashed at the true devil ancestor. A strong force of the great Tao exploded from the saberlight. As the saberlight flashed, a wound was left on the shoulder of the true devil ancestor. What? The true devil ancestor was shocked. This was definitely not a good thing for the dark crow to be able to hurt him. One should know that his devil body was the strongest extreme devil body. However, the power that the dark crow displayed when he turned into a saberlight was terrifying as well. Roar! The ancestor of the true devil was howling in rage. The wound on his shoulder was healing rapidly. In just an instant, the wound was gone. Seeing this, the dark crow knew that he was no match for this ferocious devil. He had already used all his skills, but it was still difficult for him to hurt this ferocious devil. At this moment, a pitch-black whirlpool appeared in the sky and swallowed the ferocious devil. Ming Qiong used his ultimate skill and swallowed the true devil ancestor into his stomach. Everyone was shocked to see him swallow a demon ancestor in a single gulp. After swallowing the true devil ancestor, the black whirlpool disappeared and the true devil ancestor entered Ming Qiong's stomach. It was a chaotic world. Ming Qiong's figure appeared high up in the sky. He sat down and used his Shen skill to refine the true devil ancestor in his stomach. This fella really dares to eat anything. Chapter 2783. Ming Qiong was simply too amazing. He had actually swallowed a demon ancestor in one gulp. That was a demon ancestor, not an ordinary living being, but a supreme expert among the demons. The true demon ancestor's strength was undeniable. His demonic body was an extreme demonic body, and it was not easy to refine such a powerful demonic body. It had to be said that Ming Qiong was simply too bold. He did not seem to have considered the consequences of swallowing a demon ancestor. If he could not digest it, he would be in deep trouble. Rumble, the true demon ancestor was swallowed into the primordial chaos world in Ming Qiong's stomach. He was using the power of the primordial chaos world to refine this ferocious demon. If he succeeded, Ming Qiong's cultivation base would immediately return to its peak state. However, if he failed, his vitality would be greatly damaged once again. After all, he had swallowed a demon ancestor. There were not many beings in the world who could refine the demon ancestor's demonic body. Under everyone's dumbfounded gaze, Ming Qiong sat down cross-legged in the void. Everyone who witnessed this scene looked at him nervously. No one had any intention of attacking him. After all, the demons were the mortal enemies of all living beings. Everyone hoped that Ming Qiong could successfully refine the demon ancestor. However, Ming Qiong's body began to tremble very quickly. He had suffered a great impact. The demon ancestor was trying to rush out of his primordial chaos world. It had to be said that although the demon ancestor had lost his extreme demonic body and fallen from the invincible realm, he was still extremely powerful. His demonic body, in particular, was extremely powerful. In Ming Qiong's primordial chaos world, the demon ancestor continued to throw punches. The powerful force shook the entire primordial chaos world, causing pitch-black spatial cracks to appear in the void. However, the spatial cracks created by the demon ancestor's punches only lasted for a short period of time. Like black lightning, they disappeared in an instant. This world had been refined by Ming Qiong to be extremely stable. Since ancient times, only Ji Yufei had managed to break open this primordial chaos world that Ming Qiong had created. However, on this day, another demon ancestor had shaken the world. Come and help. At that moment, Ming Qiong, who was sitting cross-legged in the void, sent a voice transmission to the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor. The power of the demon ancestor was getting stronger and stronger, and he was almost unable to suppress it. Roar! A tiger's roar rang out as a black-haired youth rushed towards Ming Qiong. He arrived behind Ming Qiong and pressed his palm against his back, transferring his own power into Ming Qiong's body to help him suppress the demon ancestor within him. With the help of the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor, Ming Qiong's aura grew even stronger. Within his inner world, the primordial laws transformed into countless divine chains that wrapped around the trapped demon ancestor, wrapping him up. Very quickly, the true demon ancestor was wrapped into a giant cocoon by the god chains of law. Endless destructive energy converged towards the cocoon from all directions, trying to destroy and refine the thing inside the cocoon. Rumble. Things seemed to be developing according to Ming Qiong's expectations. Refining the demon ancestor, recovering his cultivation base, and then seeing if he could break the seal that Ji Yufei had placed on his spiritual soul. At that moment, everyone was watching. Was the demon ancestor going to be destroyed just like that? Some people's faces were still solemn. One should know that the demon ancestor was not simple. If he could be destroyed so easily, he would not be the true demon ancestor. In the ancient times, since someone could capture the true demon ancestor and suppress him in the prison zone, it was obvious that it was difficult to kill him. Hence, he was suppressed. Some optimistic people did not think so. After all, the true demon ancestor had been sealed in the prison zone for countless years and was no longer the invincible demon ancestor. Perhaps the so-called true demon ancestor had really been refined by the lunatic from the outer domain. Haha, what true demon ancestor? He's still finished. Someone laughed out loud. Rumble. The sound of wind and thunder came from Ming Qiong's body. It was as though a world was evolving in his body. An unbelievably strong aura spread out from his body. Perhaps we can succeed, someone said. At that moment, Ji Yufei laughed. The true demon ancestor would not die so easily. Otherwise, he would have been killed in the ancient times. The ancient ominous dark crow and Qiong Qi stared at Ming Qiong nervously. How is this possible? A layer of cold sweat appeared on Ming Qiong's forehead. In his inner world, the cocoon was still there. Although he tried his best, he could not refine the demon ancestor. My lord, what should we do? The Black Chilean Tiger Emperor said. They seemed to be unable to refine the true demon and had to think of another way. What else can we do? Continue. Ming Qiong was determined. Since he could swallow the demon ancestor, he could definitely refine it. This was a shortcut for him to recover to his peak cultivation. The black-haired young man that the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor had transformed into smiled bitterly and continued to transfer his power into Ming Qiong's body. The chaotic primordial world inside Ming Qiong's body made a clanging sound. The countless divine chains that entangled the true demon ancestor began to vibrate and let out the sound of metal colliding. Countless Dao patterns appeared on the divine chains and turned into flames of the way, trying to refine the true demon ancestor that was entangled in them. At this time, Ming Qiong turned the entire chaotic primordial world into a furnace and used it to refine the true demon ancestor. He was using the true demon ancestor as a sacred medicine to be refined. Chimph, don't waste your energy. The true demon ancestor who was trapped in the furnace spoke with a tone of disdain. If this level of flames of the way could refine him, he would have been killed when he was captured by that person. He would not have been sealed in this place for so many years. It had to be said that this lunatic from the outer realm was very strong, but he was not strong enough to refine the extreme demon body. Damn it. Ming Qiong was very dissatisfied. He had already eaten the fat meat, but he could not swallow it. He wanted to spit it out. There was nothing more frustrating than this. At this time, The entire chaotic primordial world had turned into a furnace. Endless flames of the way were burning. These were flames of the way, not ordinary divine flames. Flames of the way could destroy heaven and earth and had the power to burn everything. But now, even if there were 10,000 flames of the way, the true demon ancestor did not even frown. Chapter 2784. Ming Qiong failed. It was impossible for him to refine the true demon ancestor. Instead, the true demon ancestor managed to refine quite a bit of his essence. This was something that he had never expected. What's going on? This true demon ancestor seems to have gotten stronger. Someone exclaimed. Boom! The true demon ancestor unleashed his might. With a single punch, the entire void shattered and Ming Qiong was sent flying tens of thousands of feet away. Even the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor beside Ming Qiong was affected. Roar! The Black Chilean Tiger Emperor tried his best to resist the fist force of the true demon ancestor. However, it was all in vain. This incredibly strong Tiger Emperor was sent flying as well. Even though the true demon ancestor's fist force was not aimed at the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor, the aftershock of the fist force caused the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor to cough out blood and fly 90,000 feet away. I knew it would be like this. Great ominous Qiong Qi said. How could the ancient true demon ancestor be defeated so easily? He was an existence that could go against an extreme saint. Of course, the cultivation base of this true demon ancestor had long been destroyed by the formation of the prison of imprisonment. However, his demonic prowess was still boundless and his combat strength was unparalleled. I still have to take action in the end. Sigh. Ji Yufei sighed. He could not allow this true demon ancestor to wreak havoc in the world. If this true demon ancestor were to leave alive, countless living beings would fall. The ancient dark crow retreated far away and had no intention of taking action. You want to refine me to raise your cultivation base? Dream on. The true demon ancestor laughed coldly. He took a step forward and disappeared into the void. When he reappeared, he had already traversed tens of thousands of feet and appeared opposite of Ming Qiong. Kill! Ming Qiong roared and attacked the true demon ancestor. The entire void exploded and turned into a destructive force that headed towards the true demon ancestor. Haha, you really know what I want. The true demon ancestor roared with laughter as he opened his mouth and inhaled. He actually swallowed the terrifying destructive force that was heading towards him. After swallowing the energy, the aura of the true demon ancestor grew stronger. The destructive energy was directly refined and absorbed by him, becoming a part of his power. This was the terror of demons. They could devour all kinds of energy that could be devoured and then refine this energy into their own. What? Ming Qiong was dumbfounded. Why was this fiendish demon ancestor like him? He could refine all kinds of energy in the world for his own use. Come here. True demon ancestor stretched out his hand and a black hole appeared in his palm. A heaven-devouring force surged out from the black hole and tried to devour Ming Qiong. Boom! The void in front of the ancestor of true demon's palm collapsed and a pitch-black spatial crack spread out in all directions. It was like black lightning which made one's heart palpitate. Humph! Ming Qiong sneered. He soared into the sky and dodged the ancestor of true demon ancestor's hand. He then waved his hands and rays of divine light shot out from his hands and slashed towards the ancestor of true demon ancestor. However, a shocking scene happened. It was as if there was an invisible black hole around the ancestor of true demon ancestor that was devouring all the essence around him. The divine light that Ming Qiong shot out did not even touch the clothes of the ancestor of true demon ancestor and disappeared into the void. Damn it! Sweat beaded on Ming Qiong's forehead. His opponent was practically undefeatable. This guy had devoured all of his essence energy, so he was naturally getting stronger as he fought. Ming Qiong's essence was constantly being devoured by the ancestor of true demon ancestor. He wanted to retreat but it was too late. The ancestor of true demon ancestor had his eyes on him. It was not an easy task for him to escape. The ancestor of true demon ancestor had his eyes on him. It was not an easy task for him to escape. He could only risk his life to fight the ancestor of true demon ancestor. Ming Qiong was once an overlord in the outer domain world. It was not an easy task for the ancestor of true demon ancestor to defeat him. The two experts moved quickly in the sky and fought continuously. Both of them had extremely strong physical bodies and their cultivation realms were similar. However, the ancestor of true demon ancestor was a demon ancestor after all. The strength of the extreme demon body was not something anyone could imagine. Bang! Ming Qiong was sent flying again. The Black Chilean Tiger Emperor did not dare to attack anymore. He retreated far away. If he were to intervene in a battle of this level, he would be in danger of dying. Everyone, let's attack together. Someone shouted. However, no one responded. No one would attack. All the living beings who were watching the battle cherished their lives and did not want to fight the ancestor of true demon ancestor. Let's attack together and we might have a chance of survival. Otherwise, we will be killed by this ferocious demon one by one. Someone continued to speak. That's right. This ferocious demon has long locked onto us. It's only a matter of time before he comes knocking on our door. Someone else added. Some of the living beings were tempted. However, no one dared to stand out. Then why aren't you guys attacking? Someone questioned the person who spoke up. These people were hiding in the dark and did not show their faces. It seemed like they were trying to make use of the masses. You guys are just hiding your heads and showing your tails. Are you guys trying to send us to our deaths? Someone mocked in disdain. Boom. Just then, a loud explosion rang out. Ming Qiong was sent flying once again by the ancestor of true demon ancestor. Fresh blood dripped down from the sky. Even his extremely strong physical body was injured. Everyone, what are you waiting for? Those people were still trying to persuade the masses to attack. They are all cowards who are afraid of death. These living beings have already lost the right to be an utmost powerful being. Ji Yufei thought to himself. There were definitely many powerful living beings who were watching the battle. This was a force that was strong enough to move even the ancestor of true demon ancestor. Master, help me. Ming Qiong's voice rang out in Ji Yufei's mind. At this moment, Ming Qiong was finally asking for help from Ji Yufei. Out of all the living beings present, Ji Yufei was probably the only one who could fight against the ancestor of true demon ancestor. Chimph Ji Yufei snorted coldly. He then took a step forth and displayed his extreme speed of 8 steps. Instantly, he appeared before the ancestor of true demon ancestor and blocked his path. Finally, you can't take it anymore. The ancestor of true demon ancestor came to a stop. Standing in the void, he placed his hands behind his back and looked at the human before him calmly. All the living beings who were watching the battle from afar were astounded to see someone stand out. To think that someone would actually dare to stand out and fight against the ancestor of true demon ancestor. In reality, the ancestor of true demon ancestor had long noticed Ji Yufei. After all, Ji Yufei was the strongest out of all the powerful beings present. He was also the one who posed the greatest threat to the ancestor of true demon ancestor. After Ji Yufei stopped the ancestor of true demon ancestor, Ming Qiong could finally take a breather. Not bad. It's rare to see a demon like you. I can use you as a practice target. Ji Yufei let out a smile as he looked at the ancestor of true demon ancestor in a mocking manner. What? Hearing Ji Yufei's words, everyone was shocked. This fella actually wanted to use the ancestor of true demon ancestor as a practice target. This was way too arrogant. Haha, after hearing Ji Yufei's words, the ancestor of true demon ancestor burst out laughing as though he had heard the funniest joke in the world. Alright, let's warm up first. As Ji Yufei spoke, he threw a punch at the ancestor of true demon ancestor. This was an ordinary punch. It was simple and direct. There was no strong energy wave coming from his fist, nor was there any divine light. This. Chapter 2785. The knowledge of the ancestor of true demon was extraordinary. He could tell the cultivation realm of Ji Yufei with just one punch from Ji Yufei. The human in front of him was very strong. He had already reached the realm where the great Tao was formless. This was not a good thing for the ancestor of true demon as the human was much stronger than the guy from the outer domain. The ancestor of true demon did not dare to be negligent. He threw out a punch too. Moreover, there was no strong demonic wave in his punch and there was no terrifying demonic radiance. The great Tao is formless. As the saying goes, an expert would know once he made a move. The punch from the ancestor of True Demon also contained the Tao rhyme of the great Tao. This made Ji Yu Fei's face turn solemn. Demons naturally cultivated the demon Tao. When the demons cultivated the demon Tao to the extreme, they could also become the demon lord of extreme Tao. Of course, since ancient times, only the demon lords could cultivate the demon Tao to the extreme and become the strongest demon in the world. They were known as the ancestors of the demons. The cultivation realm of the ancestor of True Demon had fallen from the extreme Tao realm. It was difficult for him to display the Tao rhyme of the extreme Tao. He could only fight against Ji Yu Fei with the same cultivation realm. Boom! A loud sound was heard. Ji Yu Fei's fist collided with the fist of the ancestor of True Demon. The two forces turned into a destructive storm that spread out in all directions. The two experts were pushed back by each other's force. A pitch-black space crack appeared between the two experts. After Ji Yu Fei stabilized himself, he immediately pounced towards the ancestor of True Demon. Roar! The True Demon ancestor let out a furious roar and charged at Ji Yu Fei. The two peerless experts engaged in the most intense battle high up in the sky. The entire sky shook as if it would collapse at any moment. Everyone who was watching the battle from afar was stunned. The strength displayed by Ji Yu Fei and the ancestor of True Demon was too strong. This was the strength of an expert of the same cultivation realm. Rumble! The sky was trembling. Ji Yu Fei was extremely domineering. His fists forced the True Fiend ancestor to retreat continuously. The earth-shattering sounds of collision spread far and wide. Master will definitely win. Ming Qiong, who had already retreated to the side, was shocked. He never thought that the True Demon ancestor would be so powerful. Where did this guy come from? To think that he would possess such a cultivation base. Some ancient beasts were muttering to themselves. These ancient beasts who had just escaped from the prison domain naturally didn't know who Ji Yu Fei was. Devil Qi and Primal Qi swirled around. Ji Yu Fei and the ancestor of the True Demon clan were moving rapidly in the sky. Wherever they went, the void would explode and even the most primal Qi would be blasted out. Bang! After exchanging over 1,000 blows, Ji Yu Fei's fist finally landed on the True Demon ancestor's body fiercely. An extremely ferocious power erupted in an instant and sent the True Demon ancestor flying. The True Demon ancestor is only SOSO. Ji Yu Fei chased after the True Demon ancestor. He stretched out his hand and struck out his heaven-covering palm. The palm covered the sky and slammed down on the head of the True Demon ancestor. Kill! The True Demon ancestor roared in anger. He stretched out his arm and slapped upwards. Two gigantic palms that emitted extremely strong energy waves collided with each other. The two forces collided and turned into a destructive storm that swept out in all directions. World-devouring demon! The ancestor of the True Demon clan roared as he casted the great technique of the Devil clan. A gigantic black hole appeared on his body and started devouring everything around him. What? Ji Yu Fei was taken aback because he was flying towards the True Demon ancestor involuntarily and was about to be devoured by the True Demon ancestor. Rumble! The void around the True Demon ancestor was vibrating and there were pitch-black cracks in the void. This was the power of the True Demon ancestor. You don't have the right to devour me. Ji Yu Fei shouted. At the same time, a strange force surged out from his body and dissolved the suction force that enveloped him. At the same time, Ji Yu Fei's glabella lit up and a sword light of the great Tao rushed out from his glabella and headed towards the True Demon ancestor. Primordial Spirit Tao's sword technique. When the True Devil ancestor saw Ji Yu Fei using this secret technique, he couldn't help but be moved. In the distant past, this secret technique was famous. This was because it was a supreme skill created by the Wushang Dao ancestor. Roar! The True Demon ancestor roared in anger. A violent force surged from his body and a layer of demonic light appeared, shrouding him within. However, the True Demon ancestor's heart palpitated when the sword light that was cast by his opponent ignored his protective demonic light and slashed towards him. How is this possible? The true demon ancestor was in disbelief. Swoosh. The sword light of the great Tao flashed and there was a sword mark on the forehead of the true demon ancestor. There was no demonic blood seeping out from the place where the sword hit. Good heavens, the true demon ancestor was shocked. The ancestor of the true demon clan roared as he casted the great technique of the devil clan. A gigantic black hole appeared on his body and started devouring everything around him. What? Jiu Fei was shocked because he flew towards the true demon ancestor involuntarily and was about to be devoured by the true demon ancestor. Rumble. The void around the true demon ancestor was vibrating and there were pitch-black cracks in the void. This was the power of the true demon ancestor. You don't have the right to devour me. Jiu Fei shouted. At the same time, a strange force surged out from his body and instantly dissolved the suction force that enveloped him. At the same time, the middle of Jiu Fei's eyebrows lit up and a sword light of the great Tao shot out from his eyebrows towards the true demon ancestor. Primordial Spirit Tao's sword technique. When the true devil ancestor saw Jiu Fei using this secret technique, he couldn't help but be moved. In the distant past, this secret technique was famous. This was because it was a supreme skill that was created by the supreme Tao ancestor. Roar. The true demon ancestor roared and a violent force surged out from his body. A layer of demonic light emerged and shrouded him within it. However, the true demon ancestor's heart palpitated when the sword light that was cast by his opponent ignored his protective demonic light and slashed towards him from the outside. How is this possible? The true demon ancestor was in disbelief. Swoosh. The sword light of the great Tao flashed and a sword mark appeared on the forehead of the true demon ancestor. There was no demonic blood seeping out from the place where the sword was struck. Good heavens. Chapter 2786. The ancestor of the true demon clan also possessed extreme speed. His speed was so fast that even some saint-class living beings could not catch up to him. When Jiu Fei executed the 8 kill steps and stomped down on the ancestor of the true demon clan, the ancestor of the true demon clan disappeared under his feet. Jiu Fei's heart skipped a beat as he struck his palm upwards. In the middle of his palm, there were chaotic Tao patterns surging and the power of the chaotic great Tao surged out from his hand. Boom! The void trembled and a demonic shadow was forced out of the void by his palm. This demonic shadow was the ancestor of the true demon clan who suddenly disappeared under his feet. Swoosh! The ancestor of the true demon clan waved the demonic saber in his hand and slashed down at Jiu Fei's head. An extremely sharp saber radiance burst out from the demonic saber. The void was split apart by the saber radiance. On the body of the demonic saber, there were countless demonic patterns surging and displaying the strongest power of the demonic Tao. At this moment, Jiu Fei flipped his right hand and a divine sword appeared in his hand. Clang! Jiu Fei raised the divine sword in his hand to block the attack. The demonic saber and the divine sword clashed together and there was an ear-piercing sound of metal clashing. He could only feel the hand that was holding the sword trembling and the divine sword in his hand almost fell out of his hand. The power of the slash from the ancestor of the true demon clan was extremely strong. If it was any other Saint Venerables, they would definitely not be able to withstand this slash and would be split into two. The two figures separated and instantly disappeared into the void. When they reappeared in the next moment, they were thousands of feet away. The battle between Jiu Fei and the ancestor of the true demon clan was endless. It was hard to determine the winner in a short period of time. The ancestor of the true demon clan's extreme demonic body was extremely strong and every move he made was filled with power. Only Jiu Fei's martial body could go against it. The sword radiance soared into the sky as Jiu Fei displayed the heaven-punishing sword principle. The heaven-punishing sword radiance soared up to 10,000 feet and could even destroy the heaven Tao. This was the extreme sword principle. Shua. A sword light struck true demon ancestor and left a deep sword wound on his right shoulder. However, there was no demon blood oozing out of the wound. At the same time, the true demon ancestor's demonic saber left a saber mark on Jiu Fei's body. The two experts separated and faced each other. The knife wound on Jiu Fei's body was difficult to heal, but there was no blood seeping out of the wound. All the blood in his body was sealed in his body, so it wouldn't leak out. "Alright, I'm done playing. I'll send you on your way." As Ji Yufei spoke, a berserk aura immediately erupted from his body. His power rapidly soared, causing the entire world to shake and tremble unceasingly from the extremely powerful energy ripples emanating from his body. The true devil ancestor's expression changed when he sensed the powerful aura emanating from Ji Yufei. Ji Yufei's combat strength was still rising, which was definitely not a good thing for him. Kill. Ji Yufei's long hair danced in the air. He didn't wait for his power to rise to the limit before he attacked. The divine sword in his hand turned into an extremely sharp sword light and pierced towards the true demon ancestor. The true demon ancestor soared into the sky and dodged the sword light. However, at the next moment, a fist rapidly enlarged in front of the true demon ancestor's eyes. Bam! The true demon ancestor's right eye was hit. He could only see stars dancing in front of him. He staggered a few steps and almost fell from the sky. How is this possible? The true demon ancestor was extremely shocked. His opponent's power and speed had increased tremendously. Before he could regain his senses, Ji Yufei had already attacked again. This time, he used the 8 kill steps and instantly appeared above the true demon ancestor's head. He then stomped his foot down. Rumble, the heaven and earth shook. A terrifying destructive force came down from Ji Yufei's right foot. Bam! With a muffled sound, the true demon ancestor couldn't dodge in time. He was stomped down from the sky by Ji Yufei. Like a meteorite, he fell from the sky and smashed into the ground, causing a cloud of dust to rise. What? Everyone was stunned by the scene. The aura exuding from Ji Yufei's body was so powerful that even Ming Qiong and the others felt their hearts palpitate. He was like an invincible celestial being that walked out from the chaos. Every move he made could destroy the world. Roar! The roar of the true demon ancestor could be heard from the ground. Boundless demonic chi exploded and shrouded the sky and earth. In the demonic chi, a demonic shadow rushed out and charged towards Ji Yufei. At this moment, Ji Yufei's fighting strength had risen to the limit under the effect of the secret skill of ascension. His body was surrounded by chaotic divine light. Bam! Another muffled sound was heard. The true demon ancestor screamed and fell from the sky. Even his extreme demonic body couldn't fight against Ji Yufei, who had used the secret skill of ascension. In the face of Ji Yufei's martial body, the true demon ancestor didn't have much of an advantage. How is this possible? The true demon ancestor couldn't believe it. How could his demonic body be injured? However, a sword light flashed and the true demon ancestor's extreme demonic body was slashed into 2. Demonic blood splattered everywhere and the smell of blood filled the air. All the living beings who were watching the battle were stunned by this scene. Their eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. The true demon ancestor was actually split in half by a sword. That was the true demon ancestor, not an ordinary holy lord. How could he be killed just like that? At this moment, the demonic body that was slashed into 2 by Ji Yufei suddenly flew up and reconnected. The demonic body was showing signs of reforming. Chimph Ji Yufei snorted coldly. He naturally wouldn't let this ferocious demon go. He waved the purple gold divine sword in his hand and slashed out with the strongest heaven-punishing sword light. Without any suspense, after Ji Yufei used the secret skill of ascension, his fighting strength was beyond everyone's expectations. He defeated the true demon ancestor right away. The true demon ancestor was sliced into 8 pieces by the purple gold divine sword in Ji Yufei's hand. Bam! At this moment, the true demon ancestor's head exploded. A ball of demonic light wrapped around a small figure and rushed into the sky, trying to escape. Do you think you can escape? Ji Yufei's face revealed a cold expression. Then, a purple vertical mark appeared on his forehead. Swoosh! With a swoosh, a sword light shot out from his forehead and turned into a sword of the Great Tao, slashing towards the ball of demonic light in the sky. This was one of the 9 secrets of the immortal path, the primordial spirit of the Wei sword. When this secret skill was used by Ji Yufei, its power was shocking. It was the nemesis of the primordial spirit. The speed of the primordial spirit of the Way Sword was unbelievably fast. In an instant, it caught up to the ball of demonic light. With a single slash, the ball of demonic light exploded. The true demon ancestor of the generation had died in the hands of Ji Fei. Both his body and soul were destroyed. All of this felt surreal to the spectators. To think that the true demon ancestor was killed by Ji Fei. Everyone felt as though they were dreaming. At this moment, Ming Qiong rushed up and swallowed the pieces of the extreme Dao demonic corpse that had fallen to the ground. The Black Chilean Tiger Emperor did not dare to eat the demonic corpse. Even if he ate the demonic corpse, he would not be able to refine it. Instead, it would harm himself. What a pity. After Ming Qiong swallowed the pieces of the demonic corpse, he looked up into the sky. The primordial spirit of the demon ancestor had been destroyed by Ji Fei. This was such a waste. The demonic power gathered by the primordial spirit of the demon ancestor was extremely strong. If Ming Qiong devoured it, he would be able to restore his invincible cultivation base. Of course, although he had only obtained the true demon ancestor's demonic corpse that was cut into pieces by Ji Fei, if he could refine the essence contained in the demonic corpse, his cultivation would definitely be able to recover to its peak state. This demon ancestor had been suppressed in the prison zone for countless years. Apart from the demonic saber, there was nothing else on him. Naturally, Ji Fei would not use the demonic saber. He did not want the demonic weapon to fall into the hands of other demons. Hence, he sealed the demonic saber and threw it into his inner world. After killing the true demon ancestor, Ji Fei did not care about the other great beasts. He left the no man's area immediately. He had a feeling that Zhao Ziru was not in the no man's area anymore. Ming Qiong and the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor naturally followed Ji Fei. As for the experts in the northern snowy region, they then attacked the ancient beasts, Dark Crow, Great Beasts, Qiong Qi, and the others who had escaped from the prison zone. However, these ancient beasts were not pushovers, especially the incomparably powerful existences like Dark Crow and Qiong Qi. These two beasts eventually fought their way out of the encirclement and tried to escape. However, not all beasts were as lucky as Dark Crow and Qiong Qi. The other beasts were either captured or killed in battle. All of them ended up in a miserable state. Just as Ji Fei left the no man's area, Old Tortoise's information transmission talisman flew into Ji Fei's hand. Chapter 2787. Old Tortoise's methods were impressive. The information transmission talisman he sent out could cross regions and land in Ji Fei's hands without error. However, what surprised Ji Fei was that there were only 2 words in Old Tortoise's information transmission talisman: "Come quickly." Is it finally going to begin? After receiving the information transmission talisman, Ji Fei immediately rushed to Celestial Wolf City with Ming Qiong and the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor. There should be an inter-region teleportation array in Celestial Wolf City. At daybreak, Ji Fei and the others arrived at the ancestral land of the Celestial Wolf tribe, Celestial Wolf City. Patriarch Celestial Wolf personally came out to welcome Ji Fei and the others into the City Lord Manor. Ji Fei did not hesitate. After entering the City Lord Manor, he immediately asked Patriarch Celestial Wolf about the inter-region teleportation array. He had guessed correctly. There was indeed an inter-region teleportation array in Celestial Wolf City. However, this teleportation array had not been used for a long time. If there was only a teleportation array without a destination, it would be impossible for Ji Fei and the others to use it to teleport from the northern snow region to the West Dark Sea. However, this was not a problem for Ji Fei. Apart from the 2 words "come quickly" on the information transmission talisman sent by Old Tortoise, there were also coordinates. Old Tortoise had already thought of these things. He had already built a teleportation array platform in the Netherworld West Ocean and told Ji Fei the coordinates of the platform. Ji Fei led Ming Qiong and the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor onto the ancient formation platform and activated the ancient teleportation formation platform beneath their feet. Rumble. The ancient teleportation array in Celestial Wolf City began to shake. Ancient runes kept appearing on the ancient teleportation array that had not been used for a long time. These were void runes that contained the profound meaning of the void. Patriarch Celestial Wolf stood in front of the ancient teleportation array with mixed feelings. He had already heard from Jiu Fei about what was about to happen in the West Dark Sea. Jiu Fei actually wanted to attack the forbidden area of the Heaven Realm. This was definitely a big event that was enough to shake the entire cultivation world of the Heaven Realm. Old Ancestor Heavenly Wolf wanted to participate, but he couldn't split himself. He wanted to stay in the northern snow region. If he left, the Celestial Wolf tribe would be exterminated by other powerful forces in the northern snow region. Very soon, the ancient teleportation formation platform emitted the most dazzling divine light. Countless runes rushed out of the ancient teleportation formation platform, interweaving to form a void tunnel. The void passage directly broke through the void and disappeared into the endless chaos. Jiu Fei and the others stepped into the void tunnel and disappeared into the endless chaos. They directly crossed the boundary. Then, the void tunnel disappeared, and the ancient teleportation platform gradually fell silent. Patriarch Heavenly Wolf watched as Jiu Fei and the others left. He stood in front of the ancient teleportation portal for a while, then sighed and turned to leave. At this time, with the appearance of the Heavenly Palace of Snow Region, the entire situation in the northern snow region had become a little strange. It should be known that the Heavenly Palace of Snow Region had always been secluded and did not care about worldly affairs. But this time, it seemed that the Heavenly Palace of Snow Region did not want to be secluded anymore. The Saintess of the Heavenly Palace of Snow Region was walking in the world. It seemed that the Heavenly Palace of Snow Region was going to be the overlord of the northern snow region. All the forces in the northern snow region felt an unprecedented pressure. The Heavenly Palace of Snow Region was like an insurmountable mountain pressing down on them. Even the Celestial Wolf tribe, the Zhao family of Snow Region, and the Golden Crow tribe had restrained themselves. No one dared to go against the Heavenly Palace of Snow Region. If Jiu Fei were here, he might have been able to change all of this. However, with Jiu Fei's departure, Old Ancestor Heavenly Wolf's ambition was doused with a bucket of cold water. He could only stay in the Celestial Wolf City and would not leave easily. In the Celestial Wolf City, he still had the strength to deal with all the strong cultivators. Even the Heavenly Palace's Saintess had to be wary of him. While Old Ancestor Heavenly Wolf was holed up in the Celestial Wolf City, Jiu Fei brought Ming Qiong and the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor to the Western Dark Sea to meet up with Old Turtle. Under the dusky sky, the Western Dark Sea was silent. The silent sky above the sea was shrouded in a thick aura of death and dark clouds. I didn't expect you to be ready so quickly. In a barren valley, Old Turtle had set up a banquet to welcome Jiu Fei. The table of delicacies made Jiu Fei's mouth water. Who was Old Turtle? The ingredients for the banquet were naturally extraordinary. Even the golden bird with the bloodline of the divine phoenix had been hunted and cooked into braised golden bird. He had even caught a golden dragon python from an abyss and stewed it into a pot of golden dragon python soup. Seeing these ingredients, Jiu Fei could not help but be moved. This Old Turtle really knew how to enjoy life. He was the only one who could find these ingredients. One must know that the golden bird and the golden dragon python were extremely powerful creatures. Even an ordinary saint would find it difficult to kill such creatures. Eat, haha. Let's get to work after eating. Old Turtle laughed and called out to Jiu Fei, Ming Qiong, and the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor. When the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor saw the table full of food, it was so shocked that it could not speak. Damn, even the golden dragon python had been hunted and made into a pot of dragon python soup. This was too awesome. Who was this Old Turtle? Was he an ancient supreme being? Ming Qiong and the Black Chilean Tiger Emperor were both shocked. Even in ancient times, the golden bird and the golden dragon python were extremely powerful creatures. Only the most powerful beings in the world could hunt these creatures. I thought you could handle it yourself. Jiu Fei looked at Old Turtle and said, Brother, I also thought I could handle it, but in the end, I realized that I couldn't. I have no choice but to think of you. Other than you, there's really no one else who can help me. Old Turtle said. What's the problem? Jiu Fei frowned and said. This Old Turtle was being so solicitous for no reason. This was probably not an easy favor to help. After all, who was Old Turtle? He was the son of the Tai Huang Emperor and had a very powerful background. Ji Yufei was not confident about something that even he could not handle. To tell you the truth, I only found out recently that this West Nether Sea is actually the inner world of an extremely abnormal guy, and the West Nether Sea is the burial place of that guy. Old Turtle said helplessly. What? Ji Yufei was shocked to hear this. The West Nether Sea was formed by the inner world of an expert after he died. No wonder there was not even a blade of grass growing here, and the aura of death gathered. This was definitely a great secret of the world. The abnormal guy who died was most likely an extreme grade expert, and it would not be easy to flatten such a place. One should know that even after an extreme grade expert died, the place where he died would become the most terrifying place with remnant extreme grade laws. Because of this, Old Turtle asked for Ji Yufei's help because Ji Yufei had an extreme grade sword in his hand. Using the extreme grade sword, he would be able to fight against the remnant extreme grade laws. Alright, I'll help you, but what do I get out of it? Ji Yufei suddenly said to Old Turtle with a smile. Chapter 2788. Flattening the forbidden zones of the heavenly realm was a crazy thing to do, as no one had ever succeeded since ancient times. Even in the era of extreme grade supremes, the forbidden zones still existed and hadn't been flattened. Even extreme grade supremes seemed to be wary of these forbidden zones. Perhaps it wasn't time yet and these forbidden zones still had their value. However, this time, the old tortoise was determined to open the heavenly path, and the first thing he had to do was flatten the West Dark Sea. The West Dark Sea was one of the forbidden zones of the heavenly realm. Previously, during the turmoil in the West Dark Sea, creatures from the forbidden zones that were comparable to supremes had jumped out and forced the old tortoise to return in defeat. This time was different from the last time. The old tortoise hadn't made any preparations to attack the West Dark Sea, but this time, he was fully prepared and had even invited Ji Yufei. Ji Yufei and the others had a good meal under the old tortoise's hospitality. Ming Qiong and the Black Unicorn Tiger Emperor fought over the food on the table. The food was a great supplement for them and could help them recover some of their strength. After eating and drinking to their fill, they got to work. Ji Yufei immediately took out the violet gold divine sword and used it to guard the second array eye. The absolute sky array that the old tortoise had set up was truly terrifying. Using two extreme grade sacred weapons to guard the array eye was definitely a peerless array of the extreme grade. It was hard to imagine just how powerful the formation would be once it was activated. Even Ji Yufei couldn't help but feel his heart palpitate when he saw this array. The old tortoise was really going all out this time. Why was he so desperate? Ji Yufei was a little confused. One must know that this fellow was someone who wouldn't do anything without benefits. He would never do anything that didn't benefit him. Ming Qiong and the Black Unicorn Tiger Emperor didn't idle either. They helped perfect the array. While the old tortoise and Ji Yufei were making their final preparations, the ancient Yuan Celestial the Arch had been sitting in a lotus position for 3 days and 3 nights outside the Luoxia city courtyard in the southern mountains. He had actually set up a killing array in the void around him. Array, rise. The moment the killing formation was set up, Yuan Jiyu did not hesitate at all as he immediately activated the killing formation and charged towards the courtyard. Rumble, boundless killing intent rushed out from the killing formation. Rays of peerless killing light rushed out from the killing formation and landed on the courtyard. Every single one of them emitted a destructive aura that caused the world to lose its color. When they landed on the layer of divine light above the courtyard, the layer of divine light shook violently. Countless runes soared into the sky from every corner of the courtyard, and were branded in the void. They sealed this part of the world, and the violently shaking divine light immediately stabilized. The array formation laid down by the old turtle was extraordinary. It was extremely powerful, so it wouldn't be easy for the primordial heavenly the arch to break it. Old Yuan, save it. Ha ha. Gullink's laughter rang out from the courtyard. Silly little girl, don't you dare be so arrogant. Once this emperor attacks in, you'll be the first to be slaughtered. The ancient Yuan heavenly emperor sat in the center of the killing formation as he coldly said. His eyes flickered with an ominous glint as an extremely powerful heavenly venerate aura spread from his body. "We'll see if you can break in," Gulling sneered. At this time, the ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor didn't say anything else. He directly activated the killing formation with all his might, and an extremely terrifying and ominous aura erupted from the killing formation. Countless formation runes interweaved to form a killing formation that directly pressed down from the sky. Two extremely powerful formation powers collided, causing the void to crack and crack to appear. Gulling wasn't worried about whether the ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor would be able to break in. He was still leisurely strolling around the courtyard. Rumble, the world shook as killing intent soared into the sky above the courtyard. A terrifying aura spread out, causing all living beings within a radius of 100,000 miles to panic. It was as if doomsday had arrived. In Luoxia City, the old immortal emperor was also panicking. The shocking killing intent was coming from the direction of the courtyard. His precious granddaughter was in the courtyard. What's going on? There's no response from the Di Zun. Could it be that even the Di Zun is afraid of the invading emperor? The old immortal emperor was puzzled. He had already spread the news of the emperor's invasion, but it was like a stone sinking into the sea. There was no response at all. This made him extremely anxious. The Southern Mountains God Emperor and the ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor had always been at odds. This was a well-known fact, but the Southern Mountains God Emperor couldn't separate himself now because the Fire Emperor had his eyes on him. The Fire Emperor was an old antique that had lived since ancient times. Such an existence was far more powerful than ordinary heavenly venerables. The Southern Mountains God Emperor naturally didn't dare to be distracted after being targeted by the Fire Emperor. However, the old immortal emperor didn't know that the situation in the Southern Mountains was extremely grim. A single misstep would lead to a war. At that time, many people would die. The ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor wouldn't be able to shake the great formation laid down by the old turtle in a short period of time, so the Luoxia courtyard was temporarily safe. While the ancient Yuan Heavenly Emperor was attacking the Luoxia courtyard, a powerful figure appeared in the endless mountains of the Southern Mountains. It was a golden-haired youth who was chasing after a powerful existence. The golden-haired youth's body emitted a wave of supreme metal elemental energy, causing countless birds and beasts in the mountains to flee in panic. "Mitch, even if you run to the ends of the earth, I, Yuan Hong, will still drag you out." The golden-haired youth stood on top of a mountain peak and said hatefully. This golden-haired youth was the descendant of the golden spirit ape lineage, Yuan Hong. Yuan Hong had originally been traveling the world, but he had been offended by some blind fellows. Some people had set up a scam and gotten several divine herbs from Yuan Hong. In the end, Yuan Hong had seen through the scam and started a massacre, killing almost all of them. However, the leader of the group had escaped, so Yuan Hong had chased him all the way here. Swish. At that moment, Yuan Hong saw a flash of light in the depths of the mountain range. He didn't think twice and immediately rushed towards the source of the light. Soon after, an incomparably shocking sound came from the depths of the mountain range. Two powerful auras appeared in the world and spread out from the depths of the mountain range. Needless to say, the golden spirit ape Yuan Hong's cultivation and battle prowess were extremely high. However, the living being that Yuan Hong was fighting against was also extremely powerful. This was an evenly matched battle that was taking place in the depths of the mountain range without alerting anyone else. At this moment, even if someone sensed that a battle between holy venerables was taking place in the depths of the mountain range, no one would come to watch because the atmosphere in the entire Nanling Mountains was extremely tense. A super battle was about to break out. Many people were watching. In next to no time, Yuan Hong had beheaded that expert and walked out of the depths of the mountain with his head in hand. Roar! Yuan Hong roared towards the sky, his voice echoing far and wide. "What are you shouting for? This is the territory of my tribe. Get lost." A loud shout came from the sky. Everyone hurriedly looked in the direction of the voice and saw a figure standing high in the sky. A powerful aura was spreading from this figure. "Who do you think you are? How dare you tell me to get lost?" Yuan Hong's sword-like eyebrows immediately straightened when he heard the other party's words. His face also darkened as if it was about to drip water. Since you don't want to get lost, I can only make you get lost. That person sneered and took a step forward. In an instant, he arrived in front of the golden spirit ape Yuan Hong. He reached out his right hand and directly grabbed Yuan Hong's chest. The 5 fingers of that person were wreathed in divine fire. HMPH. Chapter 2789. The Southern Mountains Fire Race was a large race in the Southern Mountains. There were countless experts in the race, and their leader, the Fire Emperor, was an emperor that could go against the Southern Mountains God Emperor. The fire race had always been strong in the Southern Mountains. But this time, they met the golden spiritual ape Yuan Hong and kicked an iron plate. Yes. Roar. Just as one of the experts from the fire race was slapped away by Yuan Hong, an angry roar was heard from afar. Then, a strong man rushed over. You said my race is **T. It was a golden-haired strong man. His arms were longer than ordinary people and the muscles on his arms were bulging. He was very strong and there was a strong murderous aura around him. One look and you could tell that this guy was not an easy opponent. He was an expert that had seen blood and killed countless lives. Only those who climbed out of a pile of corpses could become experts. So what if I said it? Yuan Hong looked at the strong man coldly. Senior brother, this guy is very strong. You have to be careful. At this time, the disciple of the fire race who was slapped away by Yuan Hong walked over. One in front and one behind. It was 2 against 1. Who are you? How dare you look down on my fire race? The strong man stared at Yuan Hong and said in a deep voice. A strong aura spread from his body. He had the intention to kill Yuan Hong. You are not qualified to know who I am. Yuan Hong glanced at the strong man and said. Haha, is that so? Since you are not willing to cooperate, I will reluctantly send you on your way. The strong man said with a gloomy face. TSK, it is not certain who will send who on his way. Yuan Hong said. Kill. The expert from the fire race did not say anything else. He immediately used a great technique to attack Yuan Hong. Rays of fire rushed out from his hands and turned into golden birds that flew towards Yuan Hong. You overestimate yourself. Since you want to die, I will fulfill your wish. Yuan Hong charged forward and punched out. Countless golden birds that were pouncing towards him exploded in the void, turning into balls of divine flames. He was not afraid of the burning divine flames. He directly rushed through the divine flames, and the momentum of his fist didn't change. Bang! With a loud sound, he directly smashed the fire race cultivator into a cloud of blood mist. A dignified expert of the Hue clan was destroyed in body and soul with a single punch. This made the Hue clan cultivator who spoke rudely to Yuan Hong just now extremely horrified. At this moment, he knew that he had provoked someone he shouldn't have provoked. Spare my life. When the cultivator from the Hue clan saw Yuan Hong looking at him, he was so scared that he collapsed to the ground. His body trembled and he almost *T himself. Humph. Yuan Hong coldly snorted. He didn't put this ant-like guy in his eyes at all. He then turned around to leave. He knew that the guy he was chasing had deliberately lured him here. He wanted to create a conflict between him and the Fire Clan, making a powerful enemy for himself. However, at this moment, an extremely powerful divine sense spread out from a palace in the depths of the mountain. It instantly locked onto Yuan Hong. An expert, Yuan Hong turned around and looked in the direction of the divine sense. His eyes seemed to be able to see through the void, ignoring the barriers of the void. He saw the palace floating above the mountain. At this moment, a blond young man with white eyebrows stood at the entrance of the palace floating above the mountain. What's going on? The young man with white eyebrows was the Fire Ape Emperor. This Fire Ape Emperor was the disciple of the Hue clan's old ancestor Jin Yang. He was an ancient ape that had attained the Tao in the ancient times. The Fire Ape Emperor's cultivation base had improved greatly recently. His cultivation base was infinitely close to the Great Sage level. He was one of the most outstanding disciples under old ancestor Jin Yang. He took a step forward and arrived in front of Yuan Hong. **T. In the next moment, his expression changed drastically. He then turned around and tried to escape. Since you're here, why are you in such a hurry to leave? Yuan Hong stretched out his hand and grabbed the Fire Ape Emperor from the sky. He then threw the Fire Ape Emperor onto the ground, causing the ground to shake and dust to rise. Who are you? The Fire Ape Emperor was shocked to the extreme. In the next moment, he realized that his cultivation base had been sealed by the other party. This caused him to break out in cold sweat. Your cultivation base is still passable. Tell me about the current situation in the Southern Mountains Range. Yuan Hong said. Since he had come to the Southern Mountains Range, he had to understand the situation. After all, the current Southern Mountains Range was much more chaotic than the other regions. Moreover, Jiyu Fei should be in the Southern Mountains Range as well. Yuan Hong had received news that Jiyu Fei had come to the Southern Mountains Range. However, he did not know that Jiyu Fei was in the Western Underworld Sea, helping the old tortoise to attack the forbidden area. The Fire Ape Emperor naturally did not dare to hide anything. He told Yuan Hong everything he knew. The Fire Emperor is in a standoff with the Southern Mountains God Emperor. Yuan Hong said in surprise. After that, he found out about Jiyu Fei from the Fire Ape Emperor. Jiyu Fei and the others might be in Luoxia City. Yet now, an emperor was actually attacking the courtyard in Luoxia City that Jiyu Fei resided in. Yuan Hong couldn't help but frown when he heard this news. An emperor actually dared to challenge Jiyu Fei? How could that be possible? Could it be that Jiyu Fei isn't in Luoxia City anymore? Yuan Hong didn't make things difficult for the Fire Ape Emperor because the Fire Ape Emperor was a divine ape as well. To a certain extent, they could be considered the same as him. So, Yuan Hong let the Fire Ape Emperor off. After that, he took a step forward and soared into the sky. In an instant, he arrived before the palace in the sky above the mountain range, and then he smashed it apart with a single punch. After that, he stretched out his hand and collected all the various divine materials that had fallen out from the shattered palace. What? The Fire Ape Emperor couldn't help but feel both shocked and furious when he saw the palace descend from the sky. Who exactly is this fellow? Could he be a Saint Exalt? Saint Exalts were called emperors in the heavenly dimension. Yuan Hong left immediately. It didn't take long for an extremely formidable figure to charge over from afar. Roar! That person roared furiously at the sky. His long hair danced in the wind while a pitilessly sharp gaze shot out from his eyes. Someone actually dared to destroy my palace? How despicable! Who is it? I'm going to tear him into pieces. That person roared furiously. Eldest senior brother. The Fire Ape Emperor hurriedly sent a voice transmission to that person. Even though his cultivation had been sealed by Yuan Hong hadn't sealed his divine sense. Junior brother. The old man noticed the Fire Ape Emperor and quickly charged over. It didn't take long for the old man and the Fire Ape Emperor to leave. The appearance of an expert who seemed to be an emperor made them extremely nervous, and they couldn't be bothered about the destruction of their palace. One had to know that the current situation in the Nanling Mountains was extremely grim, and a war that could sweep through the entire region could erupt at any moment. The appearance of an expert who seemed to be an emperor might affect the entire situation in the Nanling Mountains. Chapter 2790. The Western Dark Sea was a peerless forbidden area. Any living creature that entered this forbidden area would only have one fate, and that was to perish inside and become a skeleton at the bottom of the Western Dark Sea. However, to everyone's disbelief, there was actually someone who dared to attack this forbidden area, and this person had a very powerful background. Perhaps, in the current world, only he would dare to attack the forbidden area. If it was anyone else, they would not even dare to think about it. It should be known that this was a forbidden area that had existed since time immemorial. Even in the distant past, when there were supremes, forbidden areas still existed, and no one had ever destroyed them. For several days, the old turtle prepared to activate the Absolute Sky Formation. He wanted to use the power of the Absolute Sky Formation to obliterate the entire forbidden area and kill all the living creatures there. Jiyu Fei, Ming Qiong, and the Black Chilean Tiger King were also very busy. They were busy familiarizing themselves with and controlling the Absolute Sky Killing Formation. This great formation was not something that could be controlled by one person. Even the old turtle could not control the entire absolute sky-killing formation. With the help of Jiu Fei and the others, the true power of the absolute sky-killing formation could be displayed. However, Jiu Fei and the others needed time to familiarize themselves with the absolute sky-killing formation. While Jiu Fei and the others were familiarizing themselves with the absolute sky-killing formation, many powerful figures appeared near the Western Dark Sea. Some experts were spying on them from the side. The news that the old turtle was going to attack the Western Dark Sea had already spread, causing all the experts to be moved. Many experts directly rushed to the Western Dark Sea. No one was willing to miss such a big event. More and more cultivators appeared in the mountains outside the Western Dark Sea. While the old turtle, Jiu Fei, and the others were making their final preparations, the Luoxia courtyard in Luoxia City was still very calm. Outside the courtyard, the ancient Heavenly the Arch was still attacking Luoxia City. How is this possible? The ancient Heavenly the Arch could not help but be shocked. For several days, he used all his strength to activate the absolute sky-killing formation. He wanted to use the absolute sky-killing formation to obliterate the absolute sky-killing formation laid down by the old turtle, but who would have thought that it would be fruitless in the end? At this time, Yuan Hong also arrived near Luoxia City. Chapter 2791. Yuan Hong fought against Yuan Jiyu. They were both at the Holy Venerate level, but who was Yuan Hong? He was the prince of the Golden Spirit Ape race, a descendant of the invincible divine ape. He wielded the Golden Spirit cudgel of the Golden Spirit Ape race, which was an extreme divine weapon. When the cudgel smashed down, a spatial crack that stretched as far as the eye could see was created. Chaotic energy seeped out of the pitch-black spatial crack. The ancient Yuan Celestial the Arch immediately retreated, but the great formation beneath his feet was directly destroyed by Yuan Hong's cudgel. Countless formation runes dissipated into the void. The crisis of the Luoxia courtyard was resolved just like that. Yuan Jiyu, where do you think you're going? At that moment, the ancient Yuan Celestial the Arch had already escaped 100,000 miles away on his sword light. His speed was so fast that even Yuan Hong was startled. The sword escape technique was indeed outstanding. Swish! Yuan Hong immediately leaped up and turned into a beam of golden light that chased after the ancient Yuan Celestial the Arch. This was the golden light escape technique of the Golden Spirit Ape race. It also possessed extreme speed and was extremely fast. Both of them possessed extreme speed. Soon, the two holy venerates disappeared into the endless mountains. No one knew whether Yuan Hong had caught up to the ancient Yuan Celestial the Arch or not. The pressure of two extremely powerful holy venerables disappeared, allowing all living beings to heave a sigh of relief. While Yuan Hong was chasing the ancient Yuan Celestial the Arch away, Jiu Fei and the old turtle were preparing to activate the absolute sky formation to attack the Western Mysterious Sea. At that moment, countless figures were watching from outside the Western Mysterious Sea. Everyone was far away from the absolute sky-killing formation and only dared to watch from afar. Almost all the forces in the heaven realm had sent experts to the Western Mysterious Sea. No one was willing to miss this opportunity. It must be known that no one had ever been able to flatten the Forbidden Zone. Someone knew the old turtle's background. Perhaps the old turtle could really flatten the Forbidden Zone. That guy is really crazy. He actually wants to flatten the Western Mysterious Sea. Someone said in shock. Even a supremacy can't flatten the Forbidden Zone. Can he really do it? Someone was extremely doubtful of the old turtle's ability. Rumble, just as everyone was discussing, a tremor came from the absolute sky-killing formation. An extremely powerful aura spread out, causing everyone's hearts to palpitate. Old Tortoise finally made his move. The aura of the Supreme Sovereign Seal surged out from the absolute heavenly slaughter formation and shook the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The powerful energy wave dispersed the clouds in the sky. Boom! At the same time, a powerful aura that was not weaker than the Grand Sovereign Seal rushed out from another direction. The extremely violent aura caused the entire area to tremble. At that moment, Jiu Fei wielded the violet gold divine seal. From the seal, master of the Grand Sovereign Ancestor, also of the Saint. At this moment, Jiyu Fei held the purple-gold divine sword in his hand and activated the killing formation he was in. The purple-gold divine sword flew up from his hand and stabbed into the formation core below. The Jiyu Celestial Holy Divine Seal, the formation, and the of Jiyu, on, the Fei, the Vener, the Master of, and Saint Vener, the Emperor, Venoff, the Vener. The Vening Jiyu of Cures. Of the Veners Jiyu as Vening the Seal, Veneras as could as Venth long of the sky. Of Rumble, countless runes intertwined. The Old Turtle, Jiyu Fei, and Ming Qiong controlled the absolute sky-killing formation and pressed down on the West Dark CC. The Venus Master of the absolute sky-killing formation caused the surrounding space to crack. At that moment, in the depths of the West Dark CC, a black temple loomed in the air. An aura of death that made even the world tremble spread out from the black temple. Jiyu Fei was shocked when he sensed the murderous aura. Roar. Terrifying demonic howls were heard from all over the West Dark CC. Creatures from the Forbidden Zone were howling, and terrifying silhouettes loomed in the air. The Absolute Heaven Slaughter Formation. The three great Extreme Path Saint weapons guarded the formation eye. When the Extreme Path power was activated, the power of the three great Extreme Path Saint weapons gathered in the Supreme Killing Formation. It was not as simple as 1+1. Endless divine light continuously rushed out from the absolute heavenly slaughtering array, piercing through the void and destroying everything. Countless array patterns were being obliterated. Countless creatures from the Forbidden Zone, who emitted a towering aura of death, moved and charged out from the depths of the Forbidden Zone. However, these creatures were like moths flying into a flame. They were directly destroyed by the absolute sky-killing formation. It had to be said that the power of the absolute sky-killing formation was truly nature-defying. Even if a true supreme being were here, he would probably be moved. Under the control of Jiyu Fei and the others, the absolute sky-killing formation kept pushing into the depths of the Forbidden Zone. The supreme power obliterated everything, and the saint-level creatures of the Forbidden Zone were all falling. The black seawater of the West Dark CC was quickly evaporated. The endless power of death was obliterated, and the figures of creatures from the Forbidden Zone kept falling in front of the absolute sky-killing formation. Everyone who saw this scene from afar was stunned. No one had thought that the power of the absolute sky-killing formation would be so terrifying. It was practically destroying the world. The Forbidden Zone was shaken. This was something that had never happened before. The endless aura of death was obliterated by the power of the absolute sky-killing formation. The vast West Dark CC was actually collapsing into pitch-black spatial cracks. This part of the world seemed to be horrifying, as if it could collapse at any time. Within the absolute sky-killing formation, billions of killing lights flashed. The three supreme saint weapons all emitted extremely powerful auras, especially the ominous saber. Roar. In the sky above the ominous saber, the black dragon roared, displaying its powerful might. We can really flatten this Forbidden Zone. Someone's voice was trembling. In the entire Forbidden Zone, there was not a single creature that could shake the absolute sky-killing formation. They were all killed by the absolute sky-killing formation, their bodies and souls destroyed. At this moment, a terrifying aura surged from the depths of the West Dark CC. A black temple appeared before the absolute sky-killing formation. Stop. The Old Turtle's voice rang in the hearts of Jiyu Fei and Ming Qiong. The absolute sky-killing formation stopped. The entire world was enveloped by the absolute sky-killing formation. Once there was any movement, the Old Turtle would attack without hesitation. It's you again. Within the Black Temple, a creepy voice came out. A figure appeared in the temple that was surrounded by the aura of death. Haha, not bad. It's me again. This time, you guys won't be so lucky. The Old Turtle sat cross-legged in one of the eyes of the absolute sky-killing formation. The Tai Huang seal floated before him. The power of this demon weapon was undeniable. Back when he attacked the West Dark CC, he had fought against this powerful creature. Since you're here, there's no need to go back. Chapter 2792. After preparing for so long, it had finally begun. Old Tortoise activated the absolute heaven-killing formation, intending to use the power of the formation to flatten the entire West Darksea Sea. The combined power of the three great saint artifacts was no small matter. Buzz. The purple-gold divine sword in front of Jiu Fei was vibrating as if it could fly out at any time. Runes were faintly discernible on the blade. At this moment, the sword seemed to be very uneasy, as if the sword spirit could wake up from its slumber at any time. Meanwhile, the formation eye that Ming Qiong was guarding was pierced with a peerless murderous blade. A terrifying and ferocious aura spread in all directions, causing all living beings to tremble. This old tortoise's methods are too shocking. Even the knowledgeable Ming Qiong could not help but admire Old Tortoise at this moment. At this rate, it would not take long to flatten the forbidden zone. Boom. At this moment, opposite the absolute heaven-killing formation, the black hole was floating in the yin qi. Endless death qi gathered to form a huge figure. Chumph, trying to flatten the forbidden zone with just a few weapons? I really don't know if you're stupid or naive. Inside the black hole, the demonic figure said coldly with a hint of disdain in his tone. Kill. Old Tortoise's response was a Thai sovereign seal. The Thai sovereign seal flew up and smashed towards the black hole. A powerful wave spread from the Thai sovereign seal, as if it was about to shatter the heavens and earth. However, a layer of blue light shield appeared above the black palace and instantly enveloped it. Bang! The Thai sovereign seal fell from the sky and smashed the layer of light on the black hole, smashing the black hole from the sky. Boom! The black hole fell into the West Darksea Sea, splashing water everywhere. It didn't shatter. Old Tortoise was extremely shocked. The black hole was extremely sturdy. It was probably protected by an extreme Dao pattern that could compete with the Thai sovereign seal. It would not be destroyed just like that. Roar. At the same time, a dragon's roar was heard. A huge dragon rushed out of the killing formation and pounced directly at the black hole that had fallen into the West Darksea Sea. Boom. The huge dragon directly collided with the black hole and sent it flying. Then, an extremely sharp sword light descended from the sky and slashed at the black hole. The powerful sword light finally broke the light shield on the black temple and left a sword mark on it. Then, the black temple fell into the netherworld sea again. I will let you know what absolute power is. The terrifying figure's voice rang out from within the black palace. Then, the entire black palace erupted with blue divine flames, as if it was on fire. A terrifying figure walked out from the black temple. It was a young man, a young man. He stepped into the sky and directly attacked the absolute heaven-killing formation. Boom! That youth immediately swung his fist towards the absolute heaven-killing array. In the next moment, a scene that caused Jiu Fei and the others to be dumbfounded appeared. That person actually shook the entire absolute heaven slaughter array with a single punch, and the runes were directly dispersed by this punch. Let me deal with you. Jiu Fei shouted and directly swallowed the purple-gold divine sword that was floating in front of him. In the next moment, the power of the supreme formation immediately gathered from all directions and entered his body. Kill. Jiu Fei attracted the power of the supreme formation to his body. His combat power was soaring. At this moment, he felt that he could smash the stars in the sky with a single punch. He took a step forward and instantly appeared in front of that youth. Then, he extended his hand and directly grabbed at that youth. That youth threw a punch towards Jiu Fei's right hand. Boom! With a muffled sound, Jiu Fei was like a huge mountain, not moving an inch. As for that youth, he was pushed back by Jiu Fei's power. One sword to destroy the heavens. Jiu Fei directly used the sword of destruction of the heavens. A dazzling sword light pierced towards that youth like the Milky Way. Sword Qi enveloped the entire sky. This was the Paragon Sword Dao. It had unimaginable power. Swoosh. At the moment when the sword light slashed down, that youth actually disappeared into the void. In the next moment, that youth appeared above his head and stomped down on him. A ball of blue hellfire burst out from beneath the youth's feet, instantly enveloping Jiu Fei. However, a ball of chaotic divine light emerged from Jiu Fei's body and protected him, blocking out all of the nether fire that was coming down from the young man's feet. Heaven covering palm. Ji Fei immediately used a martial arts technique. A huge palm appeared high up in the sky, enveloping the entire sky and slammed towards that youth. Bang! With a muffled sound, that youth was directly pushed back. H, you were just boasting shamelessly. But now, you're still being suppressed by me. Ji Fei's strength was unparalleled. He used the 8 desolate steps and instantly chased after that youth. With another palm strike, an extremely strong force shook the entire sky. This was the most powerful force that he could use. Haha, this is just a warm-up. The youth laughed loudly as he rushed back from afar. With a flip of his right hand, a demonic halberd immediately appeared in his hand. At the same time, Ji Fei opened his mouth and spat out a sword. This sword was the divine weapon that he had refined himself, called the 9 Heaven Stars sword. Ji Fei held the 9 Heaven Stars sword and then slashed at the youth opposite him. A dazzling sword light immediately rushed out from the sword and the extremely sharp sword light cut through the void. Clang! The youth waved the halberd in his hand and directly shattered the sword light. Then, he swung the halberd towards Ji Fei's head. This was an evenly matched battle. The youth's cultivation and combat strength were also infinitely close to the extreme saint level. He was fighting endlessly with Ji Fei. Old Tortoise and Ming Qiong were watching nervously. They naturally wanted Ji Fei to defeat that guy as soon as possible. However, that guy was really strong and it was difficult to suppress him in a short time. Ji Fei held the 9 Heaven Stars sword and then slashed at the youth opposite him. A dazzling sword light immediately rushed out from the sword and extremely sharp sword light cut through the void. Clang! The youth waved the halberd in his hand and directly shattered the sword light. Then, he swung the halberd towards Ji Fei's head. This was an evenly matched battle. The youth's cultivation and combat strength were also infinitely close to the extreme saint level. He was fighting endlessly with Ji Fei. Chapter 2793. After preparing for such a long time, the old tortoise finally made his move. The great formation of sky severing displayed its strongest power and directly pushed toward the western underworld sea. The endless power of death was obliterated by the great formation of sky severing. Countless creatures in the Forbidden Zone were startled and all of them rushed toward the great formation of sky severing like moths flying into a flame. As soon as those creatures that entered the great formation of sky severing came into contact with it, they would be obliterated into a cloud of blood mist and dissipate between heaven and earth. Even the saint-level creatures in the Forbidden Zone were no exception. Soon, the most powerful beings in the Forbidden Zone were startled. The Black Temple rushed out of the Nether Sea. An extremely powerful figure walked out of the Black Temple and fought with Ji Fei. Rumble, the heaven and earth shook. Pitch-black spatial cracks appeared in the void like lightning, but disappeared in an instant as if they had never appeared. Clang! The black-robed youngster waved the demonic halberd and swept it at Ji Fei. The void was cut open by the halberd. Ji Fei did not dare to be careless. He quickly blocked the halberd with the 9th Heaven Stars sword in his hand. The violent impact made his hand that was holding the sword tremble. What a powerful force! Ji Fei could not help but be shocked. This was the first time he had encountered such a powerful opponent. The black-robed youngster's physical body was so strong that it could compete with him. Again, Ji Fei's battle intent was like a rainbow. The 9th Heaven Stars sword in his hand burst out a dazzling sword light. The heaven-punishing sword chi surged, pierced the void, and strangled the black-robed youngster. Ha! The black-robed youngster flew backward and instantly avoided the strangling heaven-punishing sword chi. Then, he rushed forward again, waved the demonic halberd, and directly chopped at Ji Fei's head. Heaven-punishing sword. Ji Fei roared. He turned into an unimaginably powerful sword light and soared into the sky, shaking off the black-robed youngster's demonic halberd. What? The black-robed young man was truly shocked. He never expected Ji Fei to have such a move up his sleeves. His body transformed into an extreme sword light and displayed the profound meaning of the sword Dao. This was a divine ability that could only be obtained when one had cultivated the sword Dao to the pinnacle. Shua! The extremely sharp heaven-punishing sword light instantly pierced through the body of the black-robed youth. Then, The sword light disappeared and Ji Yufei's figure appeared behind the black-robed youth. Old Tortoise and Ming Qiong, who were inside the absolute sky formation, were both surprised and overjoyed to see this. The sky-punishing sword path was an extreme sword path. Even a holy venerable would die if struck by the sword light of this sword path. The black-robed youth was the most powerful being in the restricted zone, but he had no choice but to suffer a grievance after being struck by the sword light manifested from the extreme Tao of Sword Tao. In the next moment, the black-clothed young man's entire body emanated numerous rays of light that could annihilate the heavens. After that, his entire body was obliterated by the rays of light that erupted from within his body, and he was directly transformed into ash. A demonic halberd fell from the sky into the netherworld sea. Roar! Just as Ji Yufei killed the creature from the restricted zone, an angry roar was heard from the floating black temple in front of him. Another extremely powerful figure walked out of the black temple. Rumble, as the figure appeared, the entire world shook. Endless power of death gathered towards the figure from all directions and was devoured and absorbed by the figure. It was a black-robed middle-aged man with a head of white hair and a pair of blood-red eyes. The middle-aged man was shrouded in black qi from head to toe, and blurry figures could be vaguely seen within the black qi. Another one. Seeing this, Ji Yufei could not help but be moved. Old Tortoise, it's your turn. Ji Yufei directly rushed back into the absolute sky formation and sat in the center of the formation. A sword shadow rushed out of his body and turned into a purple-gold divine sword. This guy, Old Tortoise, could not help but shake his head when he saw that Ji Yufei had retreated. Then, he directly rushed out of the center of the formation. He held the Tai Huang seal in his hand and went to meet the middle-aged man. Powerful demonic power spread between heaven and earth, and 9 rays of demonic light circled around him. Tai Huang. The white-haired, red-eyed middle-aged man stared at the ancient seal in Old Tortoise's hand. His tone was very calm, and there was no expression on his face. Who are you? A genius that died here in the ancient times. Old Tortoise sized up the white-haired young man in front of him and said. He knew that the netherworld sea was not as simple as it seemed. Many geniuses from the ancient times had fallen here, and their bodies were immortal, turning into creatures from the restricted zone. The white-haired, middle-aged man did not say anything else. An extremely powerful battle intent erupted from his body, and the endless power of death was vast and mighty. He extended his hand, and the demonic halberd that had fallen in the netherworld sea immediately rushed out of the netherworld sea and flew into the middle-aged man's hand. After the white-haired, middle-aged man grasped the demonic halberd, his entire aura increased a lot. The void around him became unstable, and pitch-black cracks appeared in the void. It seemed that the world and the void could not contain this extremely powerful physical body. Interesting. Old Tortoise smiled. This opponent was not bad, and he could have some fun. The white-haired, middle-aged man shook the demonic halberd in his hand, and the shadow of a dragon immediately emerged from the demonic halberd. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws, as if it was choosing someone to devour. A powerful force was awakened from the demonic halberd. Die! The demonic halberd in the white-haired, middle-aged man's hand turned into a demonic dragon and pounced at Old Tortoise. The void trembled, and the entire sky seemed to be collapsing. The netherworld sea below set off monstrous waves. Countless skeletons at the bottom of the sea were flipped up by the waves, and even immortal corpses were floating in the netherworld sea. Bang! Old Tortoise slammed his palm forward and directly blocked the demonic dragon that was charging at him. The violent impact shattered the surrounding void. Swoosh! Within the black mist, a demonic halberd broke through the void and hacked at Old Tortoise's head. Clang! Old Tortoise raised the ancient seal in his hand to block the demonic halberd. A wave of demonic power erupted from the ancient seal, knocking the demonic halberd away. The Tai Huang seal was a demonic weapon of the extreme path, after all. The powerful rebounding force actually knocked the demonic halberd out of the white-haired, middle-aged man's hand. Bang! The Tai Huang seal in Old Tortoise's hand flew up and knocked the white-haired, middle-aged man away. His body shattered in the void. What, inside the great array of absolute sky, Ji Yufei and Ming Qiong were both shocked to see this. No way. The winner was decided so quickly. Chapter 2794. Creatures from the Forbidden Land were extremely powerful. Even after being smashed by the Tai Huang seal in the old turtle's hand, they could still instantly reconstruct their bodies and restore their peak combat strength. Haha, very good. It would be too boring if you were smashed to death by my Tai Huang seal. The old turtle laughed. The white-haired middle-aged man did not say anything. His blood-red eyes flashed with ferocious light and the ultimate power of death surged from his body. He stretched out his right hand and the halberd that was knocked away by the Tai Huang seal flew back into his hand. Boom! An even more powerful power of death erupted from the white-haired middle-aged man. Runes emerged on his body and the power contained in the halberd in his hand was completely stimulated. Roar! The shadow of a demonic dragon rushed out from the halberd and roared at the sky. Although it was not a real body of flesh and blood, the old turtle seemed to have heard the shocking roar of the dragon. Buzz! At this time, the Tai Huang seal in the old turtle's hand also vibrated. Ancient runes emerged from the ancient seal and interweaved into mysterious Tao diagrams. The power of the Tai Huang seal was also recovering. Bring it on. The old turtle crooked his finger at the white-haired middle-aged man. He still looked relaxed as if he did not care about this extremely powerful creature from the Forbidden Land. Arrogant. The white-haired middle-aged man said in a deep voice. Then, his entire body turned into a black light and fused with the halberd. He launched an extremely powerful attack at the old turtle. Swoosh! The halberd tore through the void and instantly arrived in front of the old turtle. The ultimate power of death displayed a terrifying power that could destroy everything. Boom! Old Tortoise immediately took out the Tai Huang seal. An ancient seal flew up and collided with the demonic halberd, causing an earth-shattering explosion. The two extremely powerful forces collided together, and the resulting energy storm swept out in all directions. The netherworld sea below was directly obliterated by this force, and the countless bones in the netherworld sea were also shattered into dust. Rumble! The earth trembled, and the entire West Nether Sea became unstable. The water of the Nether Sea was constantly being destroyed, and some places were already showing the surface. The demonic halberd shattered, and the demonic patterns within it were obliterated. The white-haired middle-aged man was sent flying backward, and his body once again shattered in the void. This time, he still survived and quickly condensed a physical body in the void. You're still not dead. Within the absolute sky formation, Ji Yufei and Ming Qiong couldn't help being shocked. After all, the Grand Sovereign Seal was a demonic weapon of the extreme Tao. It possessed immense power. This white-robed middle-aged man had been smashed twice by the Grand Sovereign Seal, but he was still able to reform his body. That surprised even Ji Yufei. Could it be that this fellow had also cultivated the Ascension's secret art, one of the 9 secrets of the immortal Tao? Could it be that he possessed an almost undying body? Bang! The Tai Sovereign Seal flew over once more, smashing the middle-aged man into pieces once more. This time, the Tai Sovereign Seal unleashed a powerful force, sealing off the middle-aged man's path of retreat. Rumble! The Tai Sovereign Seal continued to vibrate, and the power that emanated from the ancient seal directly shattered the middle-aged man's body. Then, it turned his shattered body into dust. This was the destruction of both body and soul, the most thorough way for a cultivator to die. The white-haired middle-aged man died without a doubt. After all, the old turtle was a descendant of the Tai Sovereign and possessed the Tai Sovereign seal. Who could compete with a demonic weapon of the extreme Tao? The moment the white-haired middle-aged man died, the black temple that was floating in front of them began to tremble. A powerful aura was emitted from the black temple. You're all trash. An old voice came from the black temple. Then, an old man walked out of the black temple. He was a hunchbacked old man with white hair and beard. He was so old that all his teeth had fallen out. He held a dragon-headed walking stick and stared at the old turtle in front of him. The old man breathed in and out, and the surrounding worldly essence immediately gathered towards him. The old turtle didn't attack right away. He was waiting for the old man to recover his cultivation, then he would defeat him and torture him. Why aren't you attacking yet? Suddenly, a voice rang in the old turtle's mind. The owner of the voice was none other than Gu Fei. "Chimph, what's the rush?" the old turtle said. He was still observing the changes of the old man. After the old man devoured the endless power of death, he actually became younger. The old turtle was taken aback. This old man was not simple. He actually used a secret technique to adjust his body to its optimal state. Soon, the old man was no longer hunchbacked, and his eyes were no longer cloudy. His white hair quickly turned black, and a tall middle-aged man appeared in front of everyone. "This is your peak state," the old turtle mocked. "Chimph, come here and die," the middle-aged man in white said coldly, without a trace of emotion in his tone. "Ha ha," the old turtle laughed. "This guy actually dared to ask him to go and die. Does this guy think he's a supreme master? Looks like I'll have to do it myself." The middle-aged man in white sighed and walked towards Old Tortoise. The old man directly swallowed the heaven and earth, and the surrounding heaven and earth essence immediately gathered towards him. The old turtle did not attack immediately. He was waiting for the old man to recover his cultivation base. Then, he would defeat and torture him. "Why aren't you attacking yet?" Suddenly, a voice rang in the old turtle's mind. The owner of the voice was none other than Gu Fei. "Chimph, what's the rush?" the old turtle said. He was still observing the changes of the old man in front of him. After the old man devoured the endless power of death, he actually became younger. The old turtle was taken aback. This old man was not simple. He actually used a secret technique to adjust his body to its optimal state. Soon, the old man was no longer hunchbacked, and his eyes were no longer cloudy. His white hair quickly turned black, and a tall middle-aged man appeared in front of everyone. "This is your peak state," the old turtle mocked. "Chimph, come here and die," the middle-aged man in white said coldly, without a trace of emotion in his tone. "Ha ha," the old turtle laughed. "This guy actually dared to ask him to go and die. Does this guy think he's a supreme master? Looks like I'll have to do it myself." Chapter 2795. The creatures in the Forbidden Land were unimaginably powerful. The old man had become younger and had returned to his most powerful state. This was definitely not a good thing for the old tortoise. "Kill." The old tortoise activated the Tai Huang seal and charged at the middle-aged man. A powerful wave of energy spread from the seal and caused a great collapse. A series of pitch-black spatial cracks appeared in the void. The void collapsed and turned into nothingness. Even the primal chaos chi was forced out of the void. Although the middle-aged man was strong, he wasn't strong enough to contend with the demon weapon of the extreme path. He was sent flying thousands of miles away by the mighty power of the Tai Huang seal. He kept coughing up blood. The Tai Huang seal really lives up to its name. The middle-aged man sighed. He tightened his grip on the dragon-head cane and a crazed look appeared in his eyes. Rumble, the black temple behind him was shaking. Waves of death energy were released from the black temple and were forcibly devoured by the middle-aged man. A terrifying aura of death erupted from his body. "Go to hell," the middle-aged man roared and took out the dragon-head cane in his hand. Roar. An earth-shattering dragon roar reverberated in the air. The dragon's roar shook the 9 heavens as the dragon-headed crutch transformed into a gigantic dragon that charged at Old Tortoise. The old tortoise sneered and shook the Tai Huang seal in his hand. The true dragon that was pouncing towards him immediately collapsed in the void, and a powerful demonic power spread out from the Tai Huang seal. Catcher! Something shattered in the void. It was the dragon-head cane that had reverted to its original form. It was a bone cane refined from the spine of a real dragon. At this moment, the cane that was refined from the spine of a real dragon was shattered by the Tai Huang seal. The runes inside the cane were destroyed and it turned into bone powder that dissipated in the void. Seeing this scene, the middle-aged man was finally moved. The extreme path demon weapon was indeed powerful to an unimaginable extent. The power that spread out from the Tai Huang seal directly shattered everything. The middle-aged man was once again sent flying. Countless cracks appeared on his powerful body, as if an exquisite porcelain had been smashed. Buzz! The void shook as the middle-aged man slammed into the Black Palace behind him. The Black Palace shook as if it would fall from the sky at any time. The power that emanated from the Grand Sovereign Seal was infinitely close to the power of an extreme Supreme Master, and it was enough to sweep away everything. Rumble, at this moment, in the depths of the Forbidden Zone, another Black Palace rushed out of the Netherworld Sea. The monstrous death aura from the Black Palace instantly enveloped the entire Netherworld Sea. Roar! A series of bone-chilling roars came from the depths of the West Nether Sea, as if countless demons and ghosts were howling. Boom! In the next moment, the Black Temple exploded and a figure shrouded in black chi walked out. Two blood-red eyes swept over Old Tortoise. "Mph, you're dead this time. The real ruler has finally been alerted," the middle-aged man muttered to himself. He had suffered an unimaginable impact and immediately hid in the Black Palace, intending to escape into the depths of the West Nether Sea. However, at that moment, a pitch-black hand reached over from afar and grabbed the Black Palace. Then, it exerted force. Bang! The Black Palace was actually crushed by the Black Hand. The middle-aged man in the Black Palace screamed and turned into a cloud of blood mist. The extremely powerful death energy was directly devoured by the huge Black Hand that had grabbed Black Temple. Roar! The black figure that had devoured the death energy roared into the sky. The entire West Nether Sea shook violently under the roar. It was extremely ferocious. Seeing this scene, Old Tortoise and the others could not help but feel their scalps go numb. Swoosh! Old Tortoise held the Grand Sovereign Seal and rushed into the absolute heaven kill formation. Bang! At the same time, a black hand descended from the sky and slammed down on the absolute heaven kill formation. A terrifying death energy descended from the black hand, causing the entire absolute heaven kill formation to shake. Buzz! The supreme divine weapons that guarded the three formation eyes began to shake. The sleeping gods in the three supreme divine weapons showed signs of awakening. The aura of the supreme path was vast and mighty. Is the big guy finally out? In the absolute heaven kill formation, Jiu Fei was extremely shocked. The black figure in front of him made him shudder. It was as if he was facing a true supreme path cultivator. The West Netherworld Ocean was a terrifying forbidden land that was formed after a supreme being fell. That supreme being was definitely an extreme Tao-level creature. Could it be that the remnant of the supreme being's soul didn't disappear and cultivated again? Jiu Fei guessed. Buzz! At this moment, a strange sound came from the formation eye that Ming Qiong was guarding. A huge dragon shadow shot into the sky, emitting an extremely ferocious aura as it went towards the black hand that was slapping down from the sky. That was the power of the supreme ominous saber being activated. Boom! Amidst an earth-shattering rumble, the huge black dragon and the mountain-like black hand collided in an instant. The two extremely powerful forces directly shattered the void, and countless runes dissipated in the void. The black hand disappeared, and the dragon's shadow collapsed. The two forces were actually evenly matched. This scene made Jiu Fei and Old Tortoise dumbfounded. One should know that was the power of the supreme ominous saber. That being could actually fight against it. Roar! The dragon's roar reverberated in the sky. In the formation eye that Ming Qiong was guarding, the black dragon's shadow could be seen faintly. Swoosh! At this moment, the extremely powerful black shadow charged straight into the absolute heaven-killing formation. The entire killing formation was filled with murderous intent, and the sun and moon seemed to lose their luster. The three divine weapons of the extreme Tao rushed out from the three formation cores and attacked the black shadow. The aura of the extreme Tao filled the 9 heavens and 10 earths. At this moment, the aura of the supreme path spread out from the west border sea. All living beings in the heaven realm felt this supreme and silent divine might and were extremely terrified. What's going on? Is there a supreme weapon of the supreme path? The old antiques in the heaven realm could no longer sit still. They all jumped out. Is the west border sea caused by the Tai Huang's sun? Someone asked. It was no secret that the old tortoise was attacking the west border sea. All the sects and clans in the heaven realm knew about this. At this moment, countless living beings gathered outside the west border sea collapsed to the ground. Even the saint-level beings were no exception. The aura of the supreme path spread out from the west border sea. Even the saint-level beings were terrified. They could not straighten their backs and had to lower their proud heads. Even quasi-supreme beings would tremble under the divine might of the supreme path. Rumble, the absolute heaven-killing formation shook violently. The three supreme weapons of the supreme path took form and faced the powerful figure of death. The gods in the weapons had completely awakened from their slumber. A black dragon emitted a terrifying murderous aura. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws as it pounced at the figure of death. It was a primordial dragon formed from a peerless blade. Bang! The death silhouette punched out and started fighting with the black dragon. At the same time, the violet gold divine sword turned into a thin Tao cultivator. He used a supreme divine art of the immortal path and attacked the figure of death. Bzzz, an unfathomable power of the immortal path instantly enveloped the figure of death, obliterating it in the void. However, the figure of death was not truly obliterated by the power of the immortal path. It appeared again in the next moment and slapped at the thin Tao cultivator, forcing him away. The Grand Sovereign Seal turned into a blurry figure of a supreme sovereign, displaying an extremely powerful attack. With a point of his finger, he pierced through the forehead of the figure of death and sent it flying hundreds of thousands of miles away. Roar! The supreme figure of death roared towards the sky, and a pitch-black deathly aura swept out from its body, enveloping the entire West Underworld Sea. The power of death in the entire West Underworld Sea was attracted by this supreme existence. It was as if a real demon of the extreme path was awakening. An unimaginably terrifying aura spread out from the West Border Sea. The cultivators who were not far away from the West Border Sea suddenly felt that their essence was being drained away by a strange force. Those cultivators were terrified to the extreme. They wanted to escape, but it was already too late. In just an instant, these cultivators who were watching the battle outside the Western Nether Sea turned into dried corpses. Their essence, energy, and soul were all forcibly devoured by the supreme figure of death. When the other cultivators saw this, they were scared out of their wits and retreated further away in panic. At this time, Gu Fei and the others used all their strength to control the absolute heaven slaughter formation, trapping the figure of death in the formation. The three supreme divine weapons attacked the figure at the same time. This was a battle between supremes. It was a battle between supreme-level powers. It was terrifying to the extreme. Even the exit of the ancient road to heaven in the distance was affected and was on the verge of collapse. If it wasn't for the Skylink platform suppressing the ancient road to heaven, it would have collapsed a long time ago. No one thought that the ruler of the Forbidden Land would be so powerful. Even if Renhuang Jiang from the human realm came, he would not be able to destroy this Forbidden Land. After the three supreme divine weapons were awakened, they could exert the power of a supreme-level power. But now, the three supreme divine weapons were only able to gain a slight advantage. The figure of death was too powerful and terrifying. No wonder the West Border Sea could exist since ancient times. No one had ever been able to destroy this forbidden land. At this time, through the ancient road to heaven, the aura of the supreme divine weapons and the death aura of the figure of death appeared in the human realm. All the creatures in the human realm were alarmed. No one knew what was happening in the heaven realm, and they were all terrified to the extreme. What's going on?